Oh, it is 8:28.
Is it a different rundown? It's Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. This is the Giant Bombcast episode 828. That's right, palindromes, bitches. My name is Jeff Bakalar. Thank you for joining the Giant Bombcast. I'm joined by three wonderful people, and I will introduce them now to you, Mr. Dan Reichert. How are you, sir?
I have never been better.
Wonderful news. Good to hear it, Jeff Grubb.
February.
I really milked that R.
Yeah, you got in there.
Ooh, that's a soundbite.
You got in that R's ass.
To bite me in the butthole. Turbo Shawn, how are you, bud?
I'm good. I'm thinking about the beverage that Dan got from the fridge. Now, I have not seen what it is. I did not see the logo. I'm just wondering, Dan, is that a Major Melon Zero Sugar?
What is that? Mountain Dew Zero Sugar?
You didn't see it?
I did not see it. Who knows his Mountain Dew cans? What's up?
Wait, what?
Nice.
Wait,
I saw it from the back. I saw the back. I saw the black
that.
with the
Shawn,
flecks of pink.
I'm
I know
say
way
it.
too much.
I'm turned on right now. That's very impressive.
That's what I do. This is what I'm here for the people.
I'll go in the other
Baja
direction.
Blast Zero Sugar too. That's in stores now. I got a bunch of that.
Yeah, Dan, when before you were in here, I need to put up a still image because I was getting camera ready. And I need a still image so Grubb could frame things up. I just put up a picture of a Baja Blast. I was like, yeah, that's close enough to me. Like,
Good stuff.
Yeah, the human
Now,
Baja
hey,
Blast.
Now
Basically.
let's get all those other delicious sounding flavors in zero sugar mode so I can fucking try Live Wire and whatever,
Live
Purple or whatever.
Yeah.
Like LimeWire's not great. Live Wire.
It's orange. Like, we got plenty of orange.
They got
sodas,
purple
yeah.
ones. They got blue ones. They got all these ones I want to try, but I'm not going to have like 800 grams of sugar. Like I can't believe they've only done a couple of zero sugar variants.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, I got some of the regular high octane Baja because like I wanted the experience from when I was a kid and everything. What I'm used to going to Taco Bell all the time in high school and stuff. I was drinking. I was like, yeah, this is the flavor. I'm gonna feel like shit after this, and you better believe I did.
Man, I don't think even as a kid I drank diet sodas. I think it's like I if I drank a full sugar soda, I probably would be like, "What the fuck is this? This is not the soda that I know."
We're not even 3 minutes into this freaking podcast, and we're already my eyes have already glazed over, and I've fallen into a stupor because we're talking about motherfucking Mountain Dew.
I'm sorry, you're more of a
happening?
Dr. Pepper guy. We get it.
I mean, you're
no
out.
hops in it, you'd be all over it.
You know, well, A, that's probably true. B, I only drink Dr. Brown's black cherry soda, and I have it twice a year, and that is it. And I can only have it at a deli with ice cubes.
Yeah.
You're like a monk.
I've been described as monkish before.
Sure.
How's everyone doing? This is me pivoting away from Mountain Dew and
we'll get
talking
back
about
there.
everyone's personal lives. How's everyone doing? I've got plenty of stories to tell, but I'll
You went to a cold hockey game. Let's just talk about it.
Listen, Jeff Grubb, all hockey games are cold. Mine just happened to be actually outside.
No, 50 degrees is fine. That's like shorts weather for me. I'm talking about you were outside and very cold.
Listen, I went to the MetLife Stadium Series outdoor Devils hockey game where they obliterated the pathetic showing by the Philadelphia Flyers for a score of 6-3. It was magnificent in every sense of the word. It was like, all kidding aside, it was one of the coolest sporting events I've ever been to in my entire life.
So for people that don't know, the Stadium Series is you take a hockey rink, you put it in the middle of a different sports stadium.
Yeah.
Usually a football
finally
stadium.
Something exciting happened at MetLife Stadium.
A lot of us, it's a baseball stadium, but the point is, it's like
WrestleMania's there.
Yeah, like you could have like 70,000 people, and there were like 70,000 people at this thing. But since it's a stadium, like it looks like you're very far away. Was that a problem?
So I was lucky. I was treated to a really bougie experience altogether because I have a friend. I have a couple friends who have Devils season tickets, and they were afforded the opportunity to like pick the really advantageous viewing angle seating ahead of time. So we had like second level up on a corner looking down at the ice. And we saw everything. It was you could see everything. The weird thing about seeing a hockey game in a football stadium is that it's just so far away. It's so far away, and you're sort of like, this is weird. This is like they're sort of in isolation. What they do is, which is crazy, I couldn't believe it. They mic up the boards, they mic up the ice, and then project that sound out to the stadium.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like you could hear the players, referees, just the carving of the ice and the slapping of the boards. I feel like I'm singing some sort of hockey nursery rhyme, but and it was really cool. Like it was a really interesting presentation. I was at Yankee Stadium when they did it like 10 years ago or so, and that was shitty because it was a baseball stadium shoehorned with a hockey rink in it, and that's at least football is like naturally the same size as a hockey, same shape as a hockey rink, so that went over really well. The Jonas Brothers opened up,
of course,
the game.
They couldn't get Billy Joel.
No, Billy Joel's probably too cold for Billy.
Too cold for Billy. Yeah, he's
getting up there now. He's like in his mid-70s.
Chili Billy is what they call him, actually. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was really cool is so the Devils have a goal song. It's the chorus of a song called "Howl" by the Gaslight Anthem, which is a Jersey band if you're in the know. And they were there. And every time the Devils scored, they played the song.
Yeah, that was
like
actually
they just
pretty
switched right to them, and it was.
They showed
awesome.
that on TV, and that was like, that's pretty wild that they just had the band there.
So cool. Apparently, 2 other teams played the next day, but combined, I think they had something like 160,000 people see 2 hockey games back to back. It was awesome. It was like and it was funny because we were, you talk to the people who are working at the stadium, and they're like, wow, hockey fans are different. They're like, oh, we've never seen so many people so excited before. It's like, yeah, it's a fucking entertaining sport, my friend.
Yeah, we're getting treated nice too. Yeah, you get the whole thing. They do.
Guess what? You score 9 times, that's what happens. I
did lose $3 because I still have money left over in my account from the Super Bowl, and I put it on the Flyers on the puck line, plus 2.5. And of course, they lost by 3 goals. So.
Oh, that empty net killed you at the end there,
and it's
bud.
like, of course, I'm like waiting for that to happen. That was pretty rough. But
thanks for betting against the Devils, you piece of shit.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. The Red Wings are playing in the Shoe, which is the Columbus, Ohio State Stadium that I've been to for Michigan, Ohio State games a couple times before. That's next year though, and they keep advertising. I'm definitely.
Who are
going
they playing?
To that. The Columbus Blue Jackets.
Dude, that's going to be bonkers. Was that 100,000 people?
That's 100,000 people, yes.
Holy shit.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. I think they did do one in the Big House before, which is the biggest stadium in the country. That's Michigan's football stadium.
Michigan,
that's 115,000 people. But yeah.
Oh, there's a Smash tournament called the Big House that takes place in Michigan. I always wonder why it was called
there. It
that.
is. Now you know.
You're learning so much, Shawn. This is a great day for you.
Bring it back to video games here on the Bombcast a little bit. There.
Why even try to do that?
I know we don't talk about those, but
it was awesome. Like especially in this area, I live right here. I'm like 20 minutes from the stadium. It is it was just amazing to see so many people show up for a 18-degree game, right? Like, and there were people, let me tell you, there were plenty of people very underprepared and very underdressed for the moment. You cannot stand outside for 3 hours in 18-degree weather with like a hoodie and a hat. Okay, you need to go like you're going skiing. I had layers on layers. I wore my Giant Bomb joggers, and under that I wore 2 layers of thermals. Then I had my like ski jacket. I had my gaiter. I had everything, and it was awesome. I was cooking. I had hand warmers, toe warmers, and then 7, 18 beers. You're good to go.
Yeah, the beers is what really does it, though, for sure. Sounds like a good time.
It was great.
It
was
great.
Sick.
Yep,
it was really sick. I had a blast. Yeah, what did you guys do?
My kids
what is that?
My kids made a mess, and I just kind of cleaned it up all weekend. That's pretty much what I did. They got
cleaned up a big old mess.
Yeah, they got kinetic sand for their birthdays, and that was not my choice. I want to make it clear. And yet I ended up usually I'm gonna be like, all right, I guess I'll sweep this stuff up. It was
kinetic
everywhere.
sand. Is that like the edible sand that Mike had that one time?
No, explain it to Dan. Explain to Dan what kinetic sand is.
I've seen it. I've tried to buy it.
But they were like, no, sir.
Where's your license?
Like cheap, shitty versions on Amazon. I want like the real deal stuff. I've seen it at like science museums and stuff. It's cool.
It's cool as hell. Yeah. But whenever you it's funny, whenever you gift that to like a kid, you're just fucking their parents,
Yeah.
You're just like, here.
That's a funny prank.
They're going to make a mess.
Okay.
I don't think that's funny at all.
I have a bunch of friends with like toddlers and young kids now. What would be the most pain in the ass gifts I can give them? Because that sounds like a fun way to
greet. Anything that makes a horrific mess.
Like a bunch of gag.
Yeah, the slime's very
creepy
popular
crawler
today.
type thing. Do they still make creepy crawlers?
Get them like noisemakers,
Noisemakers are good.
Yeah, everyone in the chat saying drums. Get them a drum set.
Okay. All right. What age will kids be the most annoying? I need to time this for Hansen's kid.
Anywhere from like
ages.
2 to 6.
All of them?
Pretty much,
okay.
Just always.
2 to 6?
The thing is, it doesn't the level of annoying doesn't change. It's just the way that it manifests. So the kid's like, oh, I'm actually practicing drums. It's like, actually, that still sucks. You're not just hitting it randomly, sure, but this is still just as annoying. You're playing it even more often.
Are they making noise to the beat is basically the only thing that changes.
Okay, so if Hansen's kid isn't quite 1, a drum set,
no,
probably not
you gotta
yet.
wait.
Might be early.
Okay.
2. I'd say 2.
Okay, next year. All right.
The coolest thing about that is Grubb, you're so right, because a kid when they're a certain age, they just they know they're annoying, but there's a chemical in their brain that just says you don't care as well.
We were we were building
terrible.
something yesterday, which I'll actually talk about in what you've been playing here in a little bit, and I had to do most of the work. And Emmy's just in this mood where she's like, if I'm not making noise, I might as well be dead. So I'm just going to constantly be making noise. And I'm like, homie, I'm trying to read this screen. I'm trying to concentrate. I have ADHD. You do too. Can we just can you just let me figure this out? And nope. She could not stop. It was mostly funny, but then I'm like, okay, now for a second, I need you to just take a deep breath. And I'm like, okay, I'll get some work done while she's doing that. You want a toy that would mess things up is this water pellet gun that we actually got for the kids.
What is that?
I want that.
I want one for me. What is that?
It's awesome. Dude, no, it's cool.
It's like an airsoft gun, basically.
But they shoot these gel packets, Dan, that explode, and then they're gone. They're just gone.
Wait, there's not trash everywhere?
Nope. No, he just shot him in his face. Did you just shoot him in your own face? No, I shot the ceiling. Bro? Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm not going to shoot. That would actually kind of hurt a little bit.
What do I look for on Amazon right now?
Water pellet gun, I think.
Yeah. They're like...
Or gel blaster is what this one's called.
This would have been fucking perfect for when my dad was in town, because he was trying to quit smoking for 2 weeks. And he said, hey, while I'm in town, you can be as annoying as you want if I smoke. Annoy me, slap a cigarette out of my mouth, whatever. So I bought a squirt gun, and I named it Mr. Quack Quack because it was in the shape of a duck. So anytime he went out to smoke, I'd run out and spray him with Mr. Quack Quack, and it pissed him off so much, and he ran out and he was stepping in dog poop and stuff. But this would have been even better. Oh, by the way, he's smoking again, of course. But okay, the original gel blaster Surge.
They do leave behind little shells and stuff, but the gel inside evaporates very quickly.
So I do recall there is some controversy over these. I think they choked the kid somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
As
soon as I realized what it was, because I hadn't really. I'm looking at this. I'm like, is that a water gun? Because I think that's what we were getting both the kids, and this was for one of the kids, and I'm putting this together. I'm like, no, I don't think so. And then I did have it set to automatic, and I pulled the trigger, and it's like an airsoft gun. It's
just the pellets explode,
and it's shooting out 5 per second there. So
it's awesome. Wow. Yeah. It's very, very cool. But also maybe you wear protective goggles when you play with them.
They come with goggles.
Be careful
Oh,
with
they
your
do,
TV because I broke my childhood TV with a squirt gun, so just be careful with that.
With
because,
a squirt gun, Dan?
Actually, it was a super soaker.
You just like squirted in the back.
Yeah, did you
Remember
find
the
a
old-
vent and just dump a whole bunch of water in there?
Remember the old Whose Lines It Anyway before
Yeah, of
Drew
course.
Carey, the one from England?
Yeah.
And it was still
sure.
Ryan Stiles and stuff. But there was like, as a little kid, as like a 6-year-old or whatever, I hated the fat guy on there. And whenever he was doing his bit, I would take my super soaker and spray the screen and I don't like you, and broke my TV.
All right. Well, lesson learned.
Yeah.
No, probably not. But
So I'm just telling Grubb, be careful with that, all right?
How old?
Probably 6 or 7, I would say.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the right age where that's okay. I think that's when I put like a magnet on the TV and ruined our TV. So yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's the age for that. Still
Yeah.
though.
So
water.
don't do that now if you're mad at the video game. or
Yeah,
something.
I'll try to restrain myself, Dan. I'll see what I can do.
Well, you're next on Blight Club, so be careful.
Oh, that remains to be seen, bud.
Who's to say?
Not
Yeah,
quite.
no one can know. I know we have to talk about games, but there is one other thing I wanted to bring up. I think I might have visited my childhood home for the last time yesterday.
Oh.
You mean
because my parents are selling it?
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were like, well, I'll die before I see that thing again. Like, no.
Oh, Jesus, that's dark, Jeffrey.
Because you could like drive down the street, but you're talking about like going in there.
Yeah, they live like an hour away. And you know they're selling the house and all this stuff, and I'm going through some junk and like, you know, it's kind of fucked. Like it wasn't like an emotional moment. It was just something else that I can't describe. Maybe you guys can help me talk through it, but like
Probably emotions.
yeah, maybe I guess we could chalk it up.
You
to
may not be
emotions.
familiar, but
Yeah, I know that's weird.
Is this what this feels like?
Probably.
it was a salty discharge. I can't.
Oh, Shawn. No, so just like going through like for whatever reason, my mom kept like there was this cabinet in my room that I used as like almost like a night, like not a nightstand, but like the bedboard, like the headboard for a bed. But it was also empty and you could store stuff inside of it. And no one realized that there was stuff in there until yesterday. And we opened it up and it was like this fucking time capsule from 1989.
Oh, wow. Huh.
And my parents kept every birthday card I got from
Aw.
85. I mean, I was born in 82. They had happy third birthday, Jeffrey, in there. And I'm showing Dib, and he's like, I could not care less.
Of course.
I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck.
Yeah.
Punk.
And my grandfather, my mom's dad, used to like custom make all of these cards for me. He would cut up newspaper comics and then like replace the bubbles with like customized stuff in it. He was also an artist and he did all this cool stuff. And for my 9th birthday, I brought all that stuff because I want to frame it and like display it. But for my 9th birthday, he did a huge Mario Brothers Ninja Turtle collab.
Whoa.
This grandfather, right?
Whoa,
in
that
what is that,
rules.
1989? Like
1889.
does this unbelievable, right? Like, unbelievable. It's like so sick. I'm like looking at this thing. He spent so much time crafting this thing, and there I am, like 9-year-old Jeff, just being like, "Okay, cool. Where's the money or whatever?" You know, like. I'm so glad we held on to that, but it was a very time capsule-y stuff. I took hard drives out of old Packard Bell computers yesterday, which, I cannot believe how inaccessible computers used to be. They were like, you need the jaws of fucking life to get inside those things, man.
I
Holy
absolutely
shit.
like I've been working on computers since I was a kid because that's the kind of tinkering that really appeals to me. And I absolutely like tore my arm the fuck up trying to get stuff out.
Yeah,
of
if you haven't
old
bled
PCs
on
and
it, it's
stuff.
not really your computer. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
like that stuff was not like repair friendly back in the day.
Yep. It was like a lot of time back then. That stuff would be like soldered into the board and things like that. It was wild.
Yeah. I also bring that up from one other detail. So I told you my parents are selling their house, and
Where are they going?
well, that's where it gets complicated.
Uh-oh. Is this like a Jerry Seinfeld, George Costanza parents thing, all trying to move together?
More like a Ray Romano,
Oh,
maybe.
that's what I don't want to say it. Oh, hey, bud. What's happening?
Okay. So, look, again, the keyword is temporary. Let's just,
Oh, it always is. It always is.
let's just call it temporary. It seems like there is going to be some overlap where they are going to have to stay with us.
Oh, fun.
And yeah, that's the word.
Well, I'm excited for you.
Because I could send my dad out to be with you during that time.
Yeah, that would it would cancel each other out. It wouldn't make it worse. It would definitely just cancel each other out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's totally cool. What a cool idea. What a cool, awesome idea.
Right, just give him a friend.
Man, hopefully I don't know how much the pinball machines can keep them occupied, but yeah, it sounds like it's probably going to happen for a little bit until they can find the next spot. So
you can do a podcast with them.
You know, it's funny. My dad, like when he realized that like podcasting was sort of like radio adjacent, he got real excited and was like, "Oh, I'm just going to be on all the time, right?" This is back in like 4 or 4 days. And I was like, probably not. Like you could maybe leave a voicemail every now and then, do that kind of thing. But no, Danny, I don't think he's going to be on any Bombcast.
Can we do one UPF where we play Helldivers with your parents?
Yeah.
Helldivers specifically.
You overestimate just like how fluent my dad is in
You
video
dib
games.
and your parents on a Helldivers team.
Yeah, there you go.
Mario Party, your choice.
Mario Party at least makes sense because it's like very accessible and it's just like, here's the
Then
button.
we got a UPF. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
let's
we got a couple, maybe 11 or 12 UPFs ahead of us.
I wonder if my parents would get the whole democracy like satire in Helldivers, where they'd be like, "This is nice. Finally, a game that's all about democracy."
Thankfully, I don't have to worry about that.
like freedom too.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Super Earth. That sounds like something Obama could never do.
Yeah. At least my parents are normal in that capacity. So
Yeah. Well,
I got that going for me.
good. Happy for you.
Anyway, more to come on that. Let's pivot out of that impossible conversation and talk about video games. Yeah. Haven't really slept a lot lately. You know?
Is that the game you've been playing? Is not sleeping?
No,
a lot?
I have been playing Balatro out of my mind, Balatro. Everyone groan for Balatro.
Good groans. Good groans.
Yeah, good groans.
Yeah, everyone loves
Yeah,
Balatro.
the best groans. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this game. I've put in about, I think, 7.5 hours?
Have you looked at the score on OpenCritic, which is like the Metacritic equivalent? It's on Metacritic as well. That's
Wait, is this a fantasy thing?
Yeah. You don't have to look it up. Like, do you want to guess real quick? Because
I'll guess. I haven't seen it. No.
yeah, what do you think it is?
I would say it's like 77.
Okay. Dan, do you have a guess or did you see?
I'm guessing it's like low 90s.
It is a 94, which makes it one of the best reviewed games on OpenCritic.
And who has it?
It deserves it.
It deserves it.
That means that Grubb scored 28 points.
Oh, that's fucked up. Listen,
For $1.
For $1.
For $1.
Yeah.
He bought that for
I hate this,
$1.
man.
I did buy that for $1.
No,
Yes.
Listen, that's a good play. Like it's kind of not fair, right? It's like the hockey. It's like the NHL are going to play in a beer league. You knew what you were doing. You're like, oh, I know how to do fantasy critic stuff. I'm just going to come in slicing and dicing.
Now, Sean made a good point when I put this out on Twitter. By the end of the year, I'll make some bonehead moves because I'll do this same thing with games that aren't Balatro.
He's not going to win.
I'm not going to win, but this is definitely play of the year. Yeah, exactly. So
I'll say this: when I said 77, I was like lowballing it. Obviously, I mean, I love this game. I think it's fantastic. I'm blown away as to like why I like it so much because
it's a good video game.
No, but I think like I don't know. I think I thought early on I was gonna like get tired of the loop a little bit, but no.
That's
there's
what
also,
I assumed too. I assumed it'd be a bit too shallow to really hit with people, but apparently not.
I've beaten it several times now, and I keep going back. I was playing it this morning.
Yeah, there's something about it. I think it, and Jan can definitely speak to this. Oh, Jan's not here, by the way. But when we
oh yeah, Jan's sick, everybody.
Jan's not.
I gotta update that number up top. Yeah,
if you couldn't tell, no, there's something about like the pack opening that like really has me going as well. Also because it's like it's free and it feels good to open up packs, and they're holographic.
Oh
and
yeah,
they shimmer.
The foil
got like holofoil stuff on it, and that's really scratching my like freakadeaky trading card itch that I have. So
I like the spectral packs. The spectral packs where it's like, oh, it makes them all the same rank, and then all of a sudden you have like 8 aces. And it's like, oh my god, that's insane.
I'll say this: I think there is a part of Balatro that I still think I'm like not playing as optimally as I could be. it's not so much. I feel like I should be selling more jokers than I am. So basically, it's like it's a run game, right? Where you're trying to get trying to like eliminate bosses, and they categorize these bosses by rounds of poker, essentially, where you have to hit a certain amount of scoring and then you move on. I think there's a lot of elements that change it every round. You have a marketplace opportunity to upgrade. There's 3 different like buffs, right? What are they? There's the planet cards. There's
the planets, the tarots, and
right.
the spectrals are the rare ones you can get.
Yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, and I love how sort of like sloppy you can get with that deck. You know, you like sometimes I'll play games where I've added like 10 more cards into the deck. So I'm working with like a 62 card deck, or you can eliminate cards. You can like give special abilities to certain cards and have them show up randomly while you play. Like, just real smart.
It's like I'm got a flush deck here where I'm deleting every like diamond and heart, and then I have a joker that makes clubs and spades the same suit, and so it's just nonstop flushes, and they're getting like fucked up like 5 of a kind flushes and full flushes, full house flushes and shit. I got one hand yesterday that was 645,000 points.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, notice I had all my hands and discards there. So yeah, and like every single time, even if I didn't mean to, I was getting like 3, 4, 5, 600,000 on my first hand every time. Like it feels like you can break the game in a way that is like super duper satisfying.
Very satisfying.
And it's like you do realize it's like, oh, this is a roguelite with all that entails. That means it's okay with you being able to break it every once in a while because it's only going to be for one run. The next run's going to be completely different, very likely. And that encourages you to make your build very specific to that run so that you do stuff like what you're saying. Like, I am going to delete a bunch of cards that I don't want. I'm going to min-max this deck, and I'm going to, every time I get a chance to upgrade one of the possible hands, so you can level up like flushes, you could level up straights. And I'm like, every time I get a chance, I'll level up flush, level up flush, level up flush. So it can start it with even a higher multiplier. And it's like every single sort of piece of how the scoring works can be gamed to get you an even bigger score, and you get yourself in a run where you're like, man, every time I'm getting pretty much what I need on the first hand. This is it. Now I had to put this down because I'm trying to beat like a dragon, but when I was playing it, I would pick it up and I would not stop for like hours at a time. I still have not beaten it, but I'm going to try to make some time for that tonight. But yeah, it's very, very good.
I think the biggest achievement with Balatro is how smart the execution of like complexifying cards, right? Like I think the fact that like it is just a poker game. It's a video poker game, but it has been thought through in such a way that it just completely reinvents the possibilities of like what the regular roster of cards and hands you have, and that's why it's just so smart.
Well, I feel the probability of certain things popping up, like you can fuck with that to whatever end you want to.
You know, and like how like playing cards have been around for like 400 years, I feel like, or whatever it is, and you're just like, man, good, like what an unbelievable thing to just sort of take that idea and blow it out, right, in such a smart and impressive way. I think that's what's really got me with this game.
And let me say it's incredible on the Switch because, first of all, the touchscreen controls are really great.
Sure.
Very video poker, like, you know, especially if you want to like drag cards around and move things and stuff like that. Also, I'm playing this so much now that I'm getting on the treadmill and I'm breaking off the Joy-Cons, and so I've got like one in each hand, so I can like walk normally like on a treadmill,
smart.
But also just play Balatro, which makes the time super fly by. This would be an incredible playing game, and so yeah, I started on the Steam Deck. Obviously, it's great on the Steam Deck too, but like as far as like just a lighter option, because I knew I was going to be playing it all the time.
Right.
The Switch version is perfect.
You know what?
Touchscreens are just the best way to play card games. Like whenever I'm playing any card game, I prefer to play on my phone. Just 'cause it's so much more intuitive than AR method.
Well, that speaks to exactly what I was going to bring up. Where I'm like, I'm half a little surprised that this wasn't just like, hey, we should just make this a phone game. We should just make this a smartphone game. But it's not something that they were trying to monetize and have a free-to-play version where you have to buy packs. So it's like, it's that only kind of still makes sense on consoles. And I'm sort of relieved that we're in a place where a game like this can come out, be $20, come out on Switch, come out on PC, and find an audience, succeed, and like take off. It's like, oh, I'm so glad these games can still work. And it's not like, oh, well, I'll just get a game just like that for free on my phone, which probably will happen. It'll get a bunch of clones or whatever. But those games probably will be monetized to hell. And I'm just like, oh, this game could just exist as it is as a product and be sort of this perfect little encapsulation that I can have on my Switch and my Steam Deck forever. And in 10 years from now, I can pick it up and it's still that game. It's nice that these things can still happen and take over the whole industry. So in a Vampire Survivors sort of way.
I think I'd be okay with like if they did that also. Like, I think it's like, I'm happy with the console version, obviously, but like, if you also want to like get that bag and go,
I think it'll end up on either Netflix or yes, it'll happen eventually.
Feels like, right? This feels like something that will go mobile after like, people know it and the name gets passed around. Like with Vampire Survivors, it did go to mobile eventually, and like they figured
like Dead Cells
monetization out with that.
Dead Cells
like these
mobile.
games. Yeah, once people know them, and it's just like, oh, hey, this would be cool on mobile. It's like eventually, they get a $5 version or whatever later down the road.
Right, but it's like if you came out as a mobile version first, it's very easy to get buried, I think ignored, and I think this is just a smart play, and I'm just glad it could still work. That's what I was getting at. It's like, it's such a relief that we can get games like this still, and they can work and make a lot of money and be great. So,
free demo was a good choice too, because it's one of those games that like within as soon as you get how the runs work in the loop, it's like you're in. So like great demo game.
Yeah.
I do think I don't know, right? I don't know this to be true. There is something about this presentation and art that like is also doing a thing that
it's like video poker looked good. I mean, I like the way video poker looks generally, but they are like bare bones. They're running on really cheap machinery. So the actual graphic styling of a video poker machine is still looks very dated if you're someone who's coming from video games. And this is like, what if a video poker machine was like as powerful as a Game Boy Advance or something like that and ran on a nice CRT and all that stuff. And all that stuff really just feeds into one another really well. And it just looks so good. I really enjoy the visual style. And that means like, the Joker designs are really they're kind of cute almost a lot of times.
They're great.
And whether it's like an image of a Joker's face or it's like, oh, this is the Joseph J. Joker's business card, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I just like all of them. They're really well done.
Do you ever get the hiker one early, where every time you play a card, it adds 4 to its value? So if you get the hiker early in a run, by the end, like a 3 is worth like 44 base every time.
No, I didn't. I've not gotten the hiker.
Awesome.
That sounds
That's
awesome.
one of my favorite cards. Yeah.
So the only thing that I will say about this that I wish maybe it had, I think I maybe need a gut check on this. When they're counting the scores at the end of a hand, don't you wish maybe that was you were able to like fast forward that a tiny bit?
You can. I changed game speed to max, and it just like
there's a game speed.
Oh yeah,
thing.
you need to set the game speed to higher.
That up.
I didn't realize that. Okay,
helps
wonderful. They thought of everything.
Yes,
great.
I think there's a 2x and a 4x, and the 4x flies by.
I'm on.
That's
4,
awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna just go to 4x like right away, but you're gonna end up there eventually, so you might as well.
It's how everyone should listen to podcasts and play Balatro.
We could put actual machines of this in Vegas so we can all get gambling problems.
Yeah, that's what we need
Relax,
here.
Dan.
I'm pretty good at it. I could probably win a lot of money.
I already lost $3 on New Jersey, so I don't.
Gambling on Bakalar would be
I did I think Jan's had the same thing happen with him and his partner, but I was playing it and the kid like took the Switch, was checking it out, and Steph's like, "Are you playing poker online against people?" I'm like, no. And explain like, no, it's a little game. It's a puzzle game. It's all good. It's all good.
Looks like poker if you're just looking at the screen a bit and don't know the context.
Absolutely, yes. But I'm just really I'm in love with it, and I'm glad that like the game came out and everyone in the world's like, yeah, that rules. It's just so well done. It's like, oh, this isn't just a dalliance, or like, oh, we were all talking about poker last week and here's a poker game, so we're all just falling for it. It's like, no, it legit is just that good.
Yeah. It's I almost think it's like the perfect balance. It is half poker, half video game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that's it's such a great blend. Absolutely love it.
It's reminds me kind of a really bad chess. Where it's like, take this ancient game and just mess around with the rules a little bit and go in there each day and play it. Like really bad chess is like a daily game, but this is not. But it's like really bad chess just says, hey, here are the rules of chess. Now, what if we just mess them up a little bit and you have new ways to think about this rule set? This is kind of doing the same thing with poker. And like, man, that's just a really good idea a lot of the time, to take these ancient games and put a little spin on there, a little remix. Generation Remix has come for poker. I want it to come for everything else as well.
What's next?
I don't know. Hopscotch.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopscotches do.
Ball in a cup.
Yeah,
let's go.
I mean, I get those peanut butter puffins cereal. If you ever get those, they're really good. And on the back of the box, it's got like a checkerboard, and you can put the puffin. They're big, chunky cereal pieces, and you can put them on there, and you can play checkers with peanut butter puffins.
Ooh,
I miss stuff on the back of the box
Yeah.
when you were a kid.
Still
It's like,
there.
yeah, but half of that stuff people don't do. Like, you're not actually gonna like cut out the back of your box and do anything like that. But it's like, hey, here's a crossword on the back of the box. You know what? Yeah, I'll do your crossword.
Here's a Halloween mask. You know, cut this out and you'll have a Halloween
or
mask.
like little games and stuff. I've probably read the back of more cereal boxes than I have books. So
yeah.
All right, that's an achievement. That's something.
yeah, that's what I was going for.
I was so bummed out. I'm reading Val Kilmer's autobiography right now. And
Why? Okay, sorry.
I got it as a gift, and I heard it was good. It is good. So
I've heard good things about it. Yeah.
He's an interesting dude. Yeah. And yeah, I think he was well, I guess he's not a Disney adult if he went to Disney. He basically talks about like living at Disneyland as a kid, growing up like near LA and like, you know, going there all the time. But they stopped going because his dad was adult. Yeah. They stopped going because his dad was claustrophobic at the monorail. So as soon as they introduced the monorail, the Kilmers stopped going.
Weird.
Man,
I wonder what's gonna end it for Minotti.
Yeah. I sent Minotti. I took a picture of that. And I was like, God damn it.
Mike gets over all of his issues because to go to Disney. Like, he used to be like more afraid of like traveling on planes and stuff. And he's like, well, fuck that. I need to go to Disney. So like,
he used to carry his dad's CPAP machine around when they went to Disney. Like, that man will do anything to go to that place.
Exactly. Apples probably is it. If like every meal had apples in it, then he would probably be done.
No,
with
he's already
Disney.
fine.
He just
with
wouldn't
Dole Whip.
eat.
No, he's fine with Dole Whip.
Disney
He's not a fan of fruit because it's Disney fruit. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
He's broken my brain so much that every ancient Disney thing I found in my parents' house yesterday, I was like texting him like, "Hey, this is a Figment thing." What?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
All right, is that it for Bellatra? Or we're gonna move on.
It's never it for Bellatra.
I know. I'm thinking about it right now.
I'll probably talk about more Bellatra soon.
Absolutely. Who's playing Mario versus Donkey Kong?
I played a little bit of it, and I was watching Dan play on UPF. I'm like, I will probably enjoy this more than Dan is, and I think that's true. But it's something about it does feel more sluggish than the Game Boy game, and I think that comes down to like there's more animation happening, and so it makes it feel more.
It's also screen size, because like on a smaller Game Boy screen, like you know, just the distances are shorter.
Yes, that's
you make it widescreen, and suddenly, like Mario takes a little bit to get from point A to point B.
And so, it's like all those like visual things adding up to the point where it's like, this just feels not great to play sometime. And yet, I think everything else, like the puzzles, are pretty good, and I think. The visuals, while I think the Pepsi challenge of it is like, ugh. But once I'm like spending 10 minutes in there, I'm like, actually, I think I kind of like how this looks a little bit fucked up. So I'm into it enough. It's like one that I would have a hard time recommending if I'm like talking to a person like, well, I haven't even played Donkey Kong 94. Oh, track that down instead. Go find a way to play that instead. And then if like you absolutely need more, this is here waiting for you. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
I can't believe there's a video game called Mario versus Donkey Kong, and I'm ambivalent towards it. Like that should be. Well, I should love that.
It's not
so
really
much.
that.
I was watching play on UPF, and Dan, when you were like, "This is not Mario. This is not how Mario feels." Like, not to call you out too much here, but I was thinking of like that's such a like old school game magazine way of thinking of like when people shit on like Mega Man Legends because they were like, "Well, this isn't Mega Man. Mega Man is side scrolling jump and shoot."
The thing is, Mega Man Legends was trying something completely different and new. Like this is like in the same perspective. This is a Mario side-scrolling platformer, and there are expectations for how Mario should control.
But it's a puzzle game. It is a different thing. Like with Mega Man to Mega Man Legends, you are still jumping and shooting, but it's an RPG.
That's a whole different approach to a game.
How is that?
Mega Man Legends is 3D. Like it's a big adventure. It's totally different than like Mega Man proper. Okay. It just feels bad to me. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I remember enjoying the original. I remember enjoing that a little bit.
Yeah,
the Game Boy Advance.
The Game Boy Advance one. Yeah. The reality is like this is still a decent puzzle platformer, I think, and then probably gets better as you go along. You just got to get over those initial reactions of like, okay, it's not playing like you expect, or it does feel slow, especially with this one. And if you get over that stuff, I think there's probably
that'll give you guys. I haven't played this remake yet, but I'm a big fan of the original.
Right.
And even everything you were saying, Grubb, about like, go play 94 instead. Like, yeah, absolutely, I would agree with that too. But I think like this is the sequel to Donkey Kong 94 that people ask for, and then like, sure, it's not as good, but it's like it's in the same vein. It's a puzzle game first and foremost. It's just a different kind of thing.
Yep.
I think I would like it more if it was pitched back in the day as like a mainline Donkey Kong game. If they called it Donkey Kong versus Mario, and I went in with expectations of like, oh, this is a follow-up.
The movement is kind of like, that's the truth, is it? The movement's very similar to Donkey Kong arcade game. Yeah.
I think when you lead with Mario in the title, I'm expecting a Mario video game. If you called it Donkey Kong versus Mario, I'd be like, oh, there's a new Donkey Kong game out. Then I'd be like, yes, this plays more like a Donkey Kong.
Honestly, I think he's onto something. I think he has a point.
Yes, all I need is the Donkey Kong Mario movement, like footsteps. If they did that, I think I'd be like, okay, I get what they're doing here. Now I understand.
Yeah, give me some girders, and then I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong 94 does all of that you're asking for. It's like it pitches itself as a Donkey Kong game, and so it feels like a Donkey Kong game, and you're not surprised by that. Here, you're right. I for a long time didn't even know that this was a sequel to Donkey Kong 94, a game I love, because I just like saw the lemming stuff and assumed it was something different. And
even when I told you that, you like kind of didn't believe me.
I didn't believe you
until you checked it out again, and you're like, oh, Sean's right. Yeah, this is just a sequel to 94.
Sean's just making up video games again. Oh, got to deal with this guy. No, turns out that's what it was.
Speaking of games that are brand new and are just coming out, Nintendo Labo.
What? Who put this here?
Okay, so my kids found the Labo boxes, and I only ever made the piano, and I was like, I'll save these for when the kids are older. And then they found it, and I'm like, okay, they're 7 and 5. They're probably still not going to be able to do most of this, so I'm going to have to do it. But whatever, we'll go build the house. And we did actually. I have it right. Let me just go grab it. I might as well.
So I got a couple in the storage unit I haven't put together. Yeah, I should do. I got the VR headset, I think.
Oh,
I only put together. What did they make? What were the different Labos? I made one.
There was like a fishing,
I made a fishing pole. I made a fishing pole.
Pole.
Yeah. So I have both boxes, both packs, and this is still from the first one, the house, and it's like kind of I don't know, still a little bit disappointing, like what you can do with it.
It was disappointing when it came out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like it was.
And I think the activity of like making the cardboard house is like, okay, it's neat to see how well this works and how sturdy the cardboard snaps together and all that stuff. And the kids had fun watching that, and they're like, oh, a house, we're gonna like put our toys in it and stuff. I'm like just wait and see that it like does stuff with the Switch, and they could not grasp that. And then what it ends up doing is there's like kind of a little Tomodachi, is that what it is? Is that what I'm thinking of? Like a little character in there that you kind of take care of. You can feed them, but it's not like in depth. Like the character's not gonna doesn't really need sleep. But you can make these buttons and you pop it and it turns off the light and it kind of does go to sleep if you want it to. But there's just not much to it. And it's like if that was a real game at the end of this, I think this thing would actually be significantly better. It's like they have all the bones there. They do have like a little Tomodachi guy. I'm saying that it's not Tamagotchi. Tamagotchi. That's what it is.
Oh, well, Tomodachi is the Nintendo thing. I thought you were
Tomodachi Life.
You're right. That's what I was conflating with Tomodachi Life. Yes. So there's a little Tamagotchi guy in there, and it's like, but there's just not much to do with him. And so you press the button a couple times, you get there's a crank thing, which has this great like clicking sound. It's kind of an amazing little engineering feat, and you crank it, and all it really does, as far as I could tell, is open up an oven, and then you can close the oven, and it's like, oh, that's it. Maybe there's more. Even if there's more, there's not that much more. So it's like, man, the kids are like, hey, okay, what else can we do with this? This is really cool. And I'm like, I'm trying not to break their heart, but I think you have discovered everything you can do by turning off the lights, filling this thing up with water, shaking it back and forth, and seeing how the water goes back and forth, and then opening up that stupid oven. And then there's like there's a minecart sequence where you can collect the food for the guy, and then you come back, you touch the food, and you feed him. Labo was always a weird thing. They're not doing it anymore, and for a reason. It was they got a little sidetracked with it. I think it's like one of their teams is like the experimental team. They'll try stuff like this. I think they did go on to make Ring Fit Adventure. I think that's that team.
Okay.
I think.
How did they didn't they do a dedicated direct for Labo? And I remember beforehand, the language was weird. They were like, we're going to like, how did they put it?
Well, I think they were like, trying to make it clear it's like we are doing something that's not for you, and they were clearly speaking to all the assholes that freak out about directs.
Yeah,
because this is literally baby stuff. Like that's what it was. It was for actual babies, and I don't think
it's toys for small children. Yes,
and it was a very popular trend in toys at the time that they made these like cardboard things that you put together and like mess around with and stuff. It was like super hot. I had like no idea until like I talked to people older than me, like family members who have kids, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my kids love these stupid little paper craft cardboard things. Like they're blowing up."
Yep.
I remember even when it was coming out, they invited people to like come see it, and I remember going in New York, and I remember being like, "You should have just had babies here. Like why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you are inviting like grown ass adults to play this thing, and they're not gonna be. You have to show us a toddler playing with.
Yeah, this. You had to send it to like influencers who are known to be parents or something like that. And like,
right, that's what they did.
I think. Video with my kid. I think they did eventually, but yeah.
I think so. Here's how I remember it, and I'm bad at remembering things. So this is probably wrong. That direct that they pitched as something different, and we were all like, "Oh, well, hey, our normal PR contact, can we get review units of this?" And they're like, "Well, we'll see." And at that time, we were finding out that people that were in the toy space were already getting it. And then with the second batch, that's when they're like, "Hey, whoever wants it can have it. Labo's still a thing." And it's like, "Oh, okay, I see what's happened here." Mostly it was just like, "Oh yeah, hey, this thing existed. I've had it sitting in my house. Let's check in on it. Do I feel any different about it than at that time? Not really. I do like Nintendo being weird, even if it does mean they're selling us cardboard for $80. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm the kind of sucker that's like, ooh, how is Nintendo going to try to sell me cardboard for $80? I'm more curious than mad about that. When I probably should just be mad about it because it's cardboard for $80. But I'm also glad that Labo is not like the thing that they're still doing, and that team that does creative stuff is going to try something different next time. I'm more excited about that than more of this.
Yeah, I remember the joke being like, "Oh, at least it's recyclable," you know, that kind of thing.
Right. The piano was very cool. I mean, that's the first thing I made, and that piano
that's
was
always been the coolest thing about Labo is seeing how all that worked. And it's like when you realize the piano is like, oh, it uses the IR camera and low reflective strips. It's like, oh, that's clever.
And that's of course all of these like things end up doing that. Like they're the buttons that you make. Like there's like 4 little pieces of cardboard that fold down, fold back in, and then you slot them into the side of this other piece of cardboard that you make that is the button, and then you can push the button in, and that those 4 pieces of cardboard actually have a spring to them because you kind of bend them together, but they're still stiff enough. They have a spring thing, and then you put the reflective tape on the bottom, and it gets shrouded by that other piece of cardboard. So when you hit the button, the reflective tape pops out, and then the IR sensor, the IR camera on the bottom of the right Joy-Con can see that, register to the button press, and then that's how it knows the light's turning off and on and all that stuff. And that stuff is really neat. It's more interesting as like a feat of simplified engineering than it is as anything else, and that wears off very fast. You're like, oh, I know how that works now. What can I do with it? Well, not that much, frankly. And it's like, okay, fair enough.
You know, you just reminded me of talking about like the simplified engineering in Nintendo Game Maker Toolkit. That went. Did anyone do anything with that?
I mean, I played it a little
Game
bit.
Maker Garage.
I did too.
Game Maker, Game Maker Garage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did any like influencer or anything like go hard on it and like make a bunch of crazy stuff? Like I feel like I messed around with it for a couple hours, didn't love it. Like
I know MVG did some stuff.
MVG did some stuff, but it's like the kind of thing where if you're an influencer who's gonna do something like that, you would just use like GB Studio and make a Game Boy game. Because that's something you can actually put out on Steam and stuff like that.
Or on the simpler side of things, just making Roblox, because that's where people are going to be already. And
exactly.
Too.
Yeah.
And and Game Maker Garage has no exporting functionality, no agreement with Nintendo to be able to.
So insane.
Right. And of course it doesn't. So, but I mean, in terms of it being like a tool to learn how to make some stuff and like, use the language of most game engines of having nodes and connecting those nodes with the if-then statements, it's pretty decent. It's just you can also learn that through a million YouTube tutorials that are free and out there and ready to go. But then I think that also Game Maker Garage, I think is also the same team as this.
Oh, okay. I always liked those ideas. Like I wanted to like Little Big Planet more than I did. I wanted to like Game Maker Garage more. It is tough to like. I think Mario Maker is that type of game that has simplified it the best. But I wonder if part of that is because like the language was already known. Like, well, this is how a turtle shell reacts. Here's how these blocks work.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
that's part of it for sure.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Super Mario Maker Wii U Online is going to go off pretty soon, right? Is it later this year? We should do one more Mario
soon,
Maker.
Actually, I think it's like next month or something. I want to say.
We should
Grubb, do you want to play my Wii U levels?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh my God! Why are you doing that to yourself? Sadist.
Content, baby.
That's a UPF right there. You trying to beat my Wii U levels?
God.
And you could just make one more like quick one, and that'll be it.
There's no quick ones the way I make them. Those are all extremely long.
What if Satan was a developer?
I forgot to bring it up in the meeting this morning. That reminds me. I was starting to pitch to Grubb and Dan about Mario and like ROM hacks and stuff. I'll talk about it later.
All right. Very good. Love to hear it.
Somebody tell me about RZ.
Yeah, RZ is. I played this on UPF, and I really ended up enjoying it way more than I thought I would. This is that Zelda CDI like game that came out just last week.
Right.
And they do a very good job of capturing it. It is published by Limited Run. And part of that means that they have a lot of partnerships in the development scene, and they do have guys like MVG doing the voices for characters. And that stuff's really good, but it's paired with that CDI style of animation that was completely unhinged at the time and now looks like it's from another fucking galaxy. And they go so hard with that stuff that every time you meet a new character, it's hilarious. And I was just having a great time doing the small little simple platforming and the simple little puzzles and the fetch quest just so I can get to the next character so we can meet them and see what they were going to be like. And they all had like a ton of personality. And then again, that animation was so good at being so bad that it was really all worth it. I'm surprised how good RZ actually is.
Yeah, this game is wild. And it's like definitely people who get it and like, they're in on the joke of the Zelda CDI games all coming together to make this. I found out more about it over the weekend as I was listening to podcasts and stuff. Apparently, so I believe the way this works is it was like initially one person who then sort of contracted stuff out, sort of like a Chained Echoes situation, where it's mainly the brainchild of one person who then like brings in other people to work on it. But it was the person who remade Grubb. I don't know if you remember this, remade the Zelda CDI games, like reverse engineered and like did one of those decomp projects. Apparently they were the one who was at the heart of this project. And then they brought in all these other people and like Limited Run saw it and like picked it up. And so that's how you get people like people we like John Linneman did some design work on this.
Yep.
Audie Surley from formerly Digital Foundry and now works at Limited Run. By the way, low key, Audie is like the most interesting person in the gaming world. Yeah, he's done a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. Yeah, he has a story. He, I believe, shirtless wrestled Nobuo Uematsu at a bar one time. Like,
what?
I'm like, what is this man's life? He just low key dropped that on MVG stream one night. I was like, what are you talking about?
Incredible.
Yeah, but like just all these people who are in on the joke, just like coming together, making this homage / parody of the Zelda CDI games and everything like that. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I got code for it, so I'm gonna check it out when I'm done with our stuff. But watching you play it on the UPF was like, I've been looking forward to this game since they announced it. I'm like, yeah, this is one of those very interesting releases from them, just like a Plumbers Don't Wear Tie Definitive Edition that I got on my Switch sitting over there. Like one of these weird releases that comes out and either preserves an old style or like an old lost game, like this lost media. And they're like, okay, this stuff was bad back in the day, but let's talk about it and let's recontextualize it. And I like that Limited Run is doing more stuff like that.
It makes sense. Go ahead, Bakalar.
The game, I'm trying to describe this, like, games that it's just such a very specific vertical slice of like the history of video games, right?
Yeah, because you probably didn't even like. I never really played the original CDI games, even when I've had opportunities now to like emulate it. I'm like, I'll check it out for a little bit, and I'm like, I'll do that on stream or something. But like at the time, like no one was even considering getting into CDI. We all knew what that thing was. We all like it was way too expensive. Those games look like fucking shit. Oh my god, that's where the joke Zelda games are. Like, I can't believe Nintendo lets like Philips even do that. Like that's where all that stuff existed. So at the time, we're all like playing on all these other devices and occasionally looking over there and snickering, but mostly being like, that's weird. I'm going to go back to my other games. And so now to like all these years later have this weird nostalgia for it, even though I never played those games. It's like, oh, so am I going to care about this game? And it's like, yeah, I am still going to care about it because the things I do remember is the stuff I would see in magazines, like the really weird of FMV sequences, of the animated FMV sequences, and be like, oh yeah, well, I remember that looking weird, and seeing the occasional video of how the animation was just not like the cell style of animation, just all this freehand stuff like Dr. Katz,
Right.
and being like, that stuff is lodged in my brain. So having this game that plays around in that space yet again, it's like, this actually is hitting my nostalgia in a really surprising way.
And even like younger people who like grew up on like YouTube poop and all those sort of like weird meme videos, like they know the shitty animation from the Zelda CDI games, and they look at this and are like, oh hey, it's like that one meme that I know. So I think it's even getting attention from those people as well.
Makes sense.
The game looks like they look like stuff that's packed into like off-brand all-in-one arcade packs.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I know Minotti has this in his shot, that II arcade thing that was around like
just
2 years ago.
Brand
where you're just like, someone made this at some point in like 1993. And
someone put RoboCop into Super Mario Brothers 2.
You know, it's like Fancy World. You know that game Fancy World. I just think of stuff like that. Weird stuff.
It's because especially like comparing it to Nintendo of today, which would never let a company like Philips even lick their shoe. It's like, I mean, they'll let them occasionally make a disk drive for their system if they were ever to use a disk drive thing again, but they haven't done that in a while. So it's like, okay, do you have any LCD screens we can use? No. All right, then get the fuck out of our office. So like to think back to a time when it was like, oh yeah, we're going to partner with Philips instead of Sony. And part of that is going to be like, they're going to provide the disk drives for our Super Nintendo CD, and then we're going to let them use Zelda. What are you talking about?
I mean,
man?
that's the kind of stuff that burned them on partnerships for a long time. That, like the Mario movie being all kinds of troubled back in the day and stuff. It's why we didn't get partnerships out of Nintendo like this up until, more recently with the Mario movie and Super Nintendo World and stuff like that. It took 20 odd years to do that.
Yep. And then at the same time, there's still a lot to like about these weird bad games, because it's like they're bad in such interesting ways.
Exactly.
And that's what RZ is like. Yeah, we are going to revel in that shit. So I played through probably about a fourth of RZ. I might just finish that up on stream at some point on this website. We kind of did a surprise a Flipnick stream last week. I might just pop that up on the site at some point this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, very good. Last but not least, hot off the presses, NFL Blitz.
Yeah, that's right, baby. So last weekend was the Super Bowl. And as everyone knows, the good guys won. And so every year, the Swifties, Grubb. Every year, me and my buddies, we hop on Parsec and we do the Super Bowl match, but in NFL Blitz. And so, this year we did 49ers and Chiefs, and score was pretty close because Super Bowl score was something weird, wasn't it? It was like 24 to
25, 22, something like that.
It was an unusual score like that. But and ours was close and actually played out pretty closely too. Chiefs won by 3 points or something like that in the 20s. But man, NFL Blitz just fucking rules.
Yeah,
it's always a blast to play.
Which one do you go back and play? Is it just the initial, do you do an arcade version or the 64?
We do
Dreamcast.
2000 on the Dreamcast.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's just the most accessible version.
I got that on my Parsec PC. Just saying.
It's always a fun time.
Play that on some websites. Yeah.
I just love playing these arcade sports games, the midway games of that era, NBA Jam and stuff and everything. So one of the reasons I go by Turbo, Shawn, is just because Turbo Meter, and that I played those sports games so fucking much as a kid.
Having a button that just says Turbo on it, I think more games should do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Controllers should have that.
Yeah, let me do that. I'm always gonna want
circle, square, and turbo on the controller.
Right, and the modern sports games hide that shit. Like NHL's and we got a hustle button. It's fucking call it a turbo.
Oh, turbo.
You cowards.
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking cowards.
Yeah, put the players on fire. Reward me. Do cool stuff. When you knock a guy down and afterwards you can leap on top of them Tekken style and be put me in a body bag. It's fun. It's just dumb fun. I love those.
What was that? I was thinking, okay, Konami had that other brand because Nintendo would only let you put so many on NES, but that was Ultra, not Turbo. I'm like, did they have a Turbo brand?
Right.
Was that like Blades of Steel and Double Dribble?
Yeah, like a lot of stuff would just go over to Ultra and like, this is we can put more games out. This is a whole other publisher called Ultra, and it's like, nah, it's just Konami still.
Yeah, like what I think Turtles was originally under Ultra and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. That's a good name for a weird publisher. If you had to like just pick one out of the thin air, if you're Konami, that's a good name.
Ultra.
Let's get that.
Very cool. I was always a fan of Blitz. I think it's great. I think it makes football interesting, as opposed to like vanilla football, which is we know what it is. All right, this is great. We covered all the games, old and new, and in between, and we are going to be back with the news right after this. Welcome back to the Giant Bombcast. Take two. How are you?
That's my first podcast. Come on.
Hey, everyone has a first. It feels like news. It sounds like news. Let's get into the news, ladies and gentlemen, with our very own Jeff Grubb.
I put together some news for you folks. It's been a lot happening over the last week. I talk about it every day, so sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that stuff's not news anymore. And then I get to the Bombcast. I'm like, oh, that happened less than a week ago. So we have a ton to talk about. Let's start with what could potentially be a really big story in the fact that nothing might happen this year in 2024. The Nintendo Switch 2 is now rumored to be launching in early 2025 at the earliest.
What the fuck?
Reports suggest Nintendo's next console, initially targeted for a late 2024 release, may be delayed until early 2025. Sources indicated that game developers are now working on titles slated for a Q1 2025 launch alongside the console. Nintendo didn't comment, of course. Basically, the word going around is that Nintendo wanted more time to work on their first-party launch games, and they want to have a really good release schedule ready to go when that thing comes out, and so they're going to wait for the games to be ready. That means probably March of next year. Although, hey, there's still a chance they could finagle things. This thing could still come out this year. We haven't had it confirmed one way or the other, but this is like not very surprising. I bet they are waiting on that big 3D Mario game or whatever the equivalent is. And that's the kind of game where they're going to delay it and take their time on it. And if that's going to be your launch game, well, then why not push the whole system? Because it's not like Nintendo's in some rush to move on from the Switch. They are doing just fine in terms of their financials. That last report confirmed that for the most part. It's not like everything's fallen off a cliff. They're still selling a lot of games. They sold something like 200 million pieces of software for the Nintendo Switch across all publishers and developers putting out games over the last year or so, the last year and a half. That's a ton of software. They're making a lot of money. So this is a bummer, but are you guys surprised? Is this like, oh man, I really wanted a new Switch right away?
I mean, I was excited for one. That's always a very exciting time, a new Nintendo console. But ultimately, isn't that like a Miyamoto quote about like a bad game's a bad game forever, and like whatever, like a delayed game is whatever. I'm sure that's it.
That's it verbatim. Yep.
Yeah. I agree with that. And when you get older, time goes fast. And so,
you're not wrong.
Before you know it,
the difference between fall of this year and early 2025 will be a blink to me.
Well,
yes.
I mean, it's like my dad always said that life is like a roll of toilet paper. Like as you get closer to the end, it just goes faster and faster and faster. And like I find that to be true. So it's like, wait, it'll get here. Like let it be in the oven as long as it needs to be, and then I'll play my Mario.
I kind of
true.
I mean, it's physically true for toilet paper because like the wide. Never mind.
Right, it's less travel.
Yeah, less travel. Although it's also true for people because as you get taller, your head moves further away from the ground. So as you spin, in theory, relativity. Don't worry about it. Never mind. Everybody.
I'm gonna barf.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Switch to early next year. That does kind of beg the question. Hey, what the hell has happened with the Switch this year then? Because they have. Super Princess Peach.
Metroid Prime 4, baby. What are you talking about? It's coming out this year for the original Nintendo Switch. Why would it be exclusive to the Switch 2? Only an idiot would say something stupid like that.
I mean, you said it, not me, but I echo everything you just said. Listen, I really think Metroid Prime 4 should still come out this year. There is reason to believe that Nintendo has several games that are just straight up done waiting to come out because we've talked about that a bunch before. One of those is like that Fire Emblem game, but they probably have a handful of others. Zippo, that kind of like iffy leaker that sometimes gets things, sometimes doesn't from Nintendo, says there's like a dozen finished games. I don't know if it's a dozen, but
Jesus.
But even if it's like 4 or 5, you add that up with the Princess Peach game, which is coming out next month. We just got Mario versus Donkey Kong. There is the the Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door remake, and then what else? Is there one other thing that was announced?
I think that's everything.
I think that's yeah. Oh yeah, no, Luigi's Mansion 2. That's what it was.
Oh right, yeah, the thing I keep forgetting about because I'm like, why?
Yeah,
okay, sure, whatever. Right. Yeah, I think we were talking before the show about like how they're just sort of pulling old random stuff nowadays, and it's like, that's weird.
Well, we'll talk about that in the direct news here in a second. Yeah,
if they're like shoring up their first party titles for it was honestly weirder to me that they could have been launching the Switch in fall or like even later, November or something like that, the holiday timeframe, because the Switch did so well launching in March, and it just makes sense because you have put out early in the year, you get all your production issues out of the way early, so that way when you roll into Christmas time, Switches are just everywhere. They're ready to go. People can buy them, and you make gangbusters money. Like I think this makes all sense in the world. So I was kind of maybe expecting that for like March of 2024, but if it's March-ish of 2025, that would make sense too.
Yeah, I think like when I was thinking back to what I was when I was like thinking it out a couple years ago, when we were like, okay, what's the end of the Switch going to look like? I'm like, well, you know, things are going so well for them. They could easily go to 2025. And then the closer we got to that, I'm like, man, that feels pretty far away right now.
8-year generation. That's a long one.
Right. But it's like, it's not out of the question. And now here it is, clearly not out of the question for Nintendo. They're happy to go that long.
The Switch is just so big. It's like,
and it's so profitable.
Why mess with that success? Exactly.
It's easy for you to say, Shawn, you're young and time is not an hourglass for you yet.
I hear it goes fast when you're old. That's true.
Yeah, it slips away is how I would describe it. So I think the thing for Nintendo is they are happy to stick with the Switch in part because they are rightly worried, and investors are more worried, but Nintendo has seen this happen a bunch of times where the follow-up to a very successful Nintendo device doesn't do as well. And I think a big part of that is people spend a lot of years being like, does it have enough games for me to get it? All right, I'm going to get a Switch. And that person that's on the fence, it is very hard for them to be like, well, I just bought the Switch. I'm not going to get another one.
And Nintendo launches are also kind of rocky a lot of the time, like software-wise. They usually have like that one banger game that they try to sell the console on. And then there's usually sort of a gap for like a month or two, and then you get another one, and then a couple more months. And then like launch year is always very good, but like that initial period is oftentimes a little light.
You're right. I mean, it's Nintendo playing 4D chess, big brain, right? How do you avoid a second console letdown after a successful one?
Just don't launch it.
You don't release one. That's it. Big brain, tapping the temples, baby.
Man, they got it all figured out over there.
Yeah, 4 more years of Switch. Let's fucking go.
Well, hey, if we're gonna have 4 more years to Switch, it's got to kick off with a direct, which they have confirmed with a partner direct for this week. Nintendo announced a partner showcase, Nintendo Direct, scheduled for Wednesday, February 21st. That is tomorrow, focusing on third-party titles releasing in the first half of 2024. This aligns, of course, with them always doing one in February for the last several years. Here we are again. Partner showcase does mean probably not anything really first-party, although Pyoro, who's someone that does a lot of leaking of Nintendo stuff, who's very reliable, has mentioned something along the lines of, hey, who could be a partner? Could it be the Pokemon Company? People are speculating that's probably Pocket Card Junkie. Oh my God, I always say Junkie. Pocket Card Jockey.
I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, I know, for real. And then he also, hey, can Nintendo be a partner?
To be clear, that would be Game Freak, not the Pokemon Company.
That's right. Thank you. Game Freak. And he did say Game Freak, right? Not the Pokemon Company. I think
I saw that rumor in passing. I don't know if that's what that person was saying, but I heard someone say, non-Pokemon Game Freak game.
Right. That's what it was. Thank you. And then the other one was, hey, can Nintendo be a partner? Well, it is when they love dolphins. And I think a lot of people assume that meant a GameCube game because the GameCube was codenamed the Dolphin. Obviously, that emulator is still called the Dolphin. But more looking into it, people are thinking that this is a reference to the Wii game Endless Ocean.
That's not nearly as exciting.
Now,
those weird polls.
Endless Ocean is a good game, but Dan, you're right. One of the least exciting video games ever made. It's like that is a shoe-in for the game you most want to get high to of 2024.
It's like
I'd be more excited for Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, it's like there's no time limit. You just go and explore the ocean. That's all there is to it. It does a good job of that, actually. But it's not some thrilling experience. But that game is made by Eureka. Which is probably not how you pronounce that, but it's which has done Tetris 99, Super Mario 35. They've worked with Nintendo a lot recently. They also did Street Fighter EX, which apparently they don't make anymore. But they
make Fighting EX Layer.
Yes, Fighting EX Layer,
completely legally distinct game.
But they're very close partner with Nintendo now, which suggests that this seems very reasonable. That they're hey, what do you want to work on next? Can we pitch something to you? What if we brought back our Endless Ocean game? Well, here you go. That might be in this partner direct. Beyond that, we're thinking that this is the place where we're going to start seeing some of those Microsoft games. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the news. Something like Pentiment seems like a shoe-in for this direct. And if not only that, could be Hi-Fi Rush as well. Maybe even Sea of Thieves, and if they got a way to make that run on the Switch, which I would be surprised by, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Anything else that you guys want to see when you start thinking of third-party partner games for the Switch? I kind of struggle. I run out of gas with that pretty quickly. I don't know how about you guys?
My my Capcom brain is immediately going to Ace Attorney. Like it's time. It's been so long since the last one that I would love to see that here. I don't know if it is time, but we know that an Ace Attorney game was like in production from those leaks from way long ago. And we know that they're sort of caught up in production over there at Capcom. So maybe we could see that here. Who knows?
That makes me think that that Professor Layton game that we saw at some direct last year, that could show up here as well.
That's right. First gameplay or something.
People are saying Silk Song in chat. That seems probably
Spoon
not
Heaven?
likely. Spoon Heaven, yes. Spoon Heaven, probably not going to show up here. And then beyond that, Square Games. Squid Division says like a bunch of Square Games. They could have that rumored remake of Final Fantasy Tactics here. That could happen. But
interesting.
I would like that.
Like another remake or of Advance? Like they did the War of the Lions PSP one.
I think a remake of War of the Lions is what I say. There's definitely a rumor that they're remaking Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, I thought that was an NVIDIA leak.
Right, that's an NVIDIA leak.
Jensen's prophecy, as some people call it. I thought it just said Tactics remake was where we got that one.
Yep. And a lot of those have happened. I think we've gotten confirmation that is something that is still happening in the last year or so. So yeah, maybe it shows up here, maybe it doesn't. That brings me, so whatever this direct is, this partner showcase, Nintendo will have almost a full calendar year, actually probably more than a full calendar year between this direct and when they launch a Switch 2. What do we think they're going to fill in that gap with? I mean, we mentioned Metroid Prime 4. Do you think they're going to have anything else, guys?
Well, you mentioned Metroid Prime 4.
I was just nodding while Shawn said it.
I think maybe
that too. Yeah,
maybe something that gets announced next week in a different showcase might be something that they have for later in the year.
Pokemon Direct is coming at the end of the month. The Pokemon Company has announced a digital event, Pokemon Presents, scheduled for February 27th, promising exciting news in celebration of Pokemon Day 2024. This comes amid anticipation of Game Freak's next major Pokemon project, following the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and its DLC expansions, which it has finished putting out. Additionally, Pokemon has been in the news due to the success of the game Pal World, which has sparked discussion about potential plagiarism, blah, blah, blah. I expect this to be a full-on execution of the Pal World team. They'll just bring them all out, give them cigarettes.
Oh, Jesus. They'll announce their litigation.
Yeah, their litigation. Yeah, it's going to be next-gen litigation.
They'll bring out Meg Mortar, just go down the line, show them.
Well, what do you want to see, Shawn? What are you excited about?
What do I want to see? Or what
I want to know everything. Yeah.
What I think we'll see and what I want to see might be two variations of the same thing. I think we're going to see something black and white related because that would be the next remake project that would come up because they did Diamond and Pearl. And if we're going down generations, black and white would be next.
My friend Nikki says those games look bad.
Yeah, that's the worst take they've ever had. I've never heard such an insane take in my life. That's the one thing we all agree on is black and white look good. But anyways, I'm scared that if that is what we get or whatever black and white thing we get won't look great, especially if it's like outsourced or something like that. But what I would like to see is HD 2D black and white. Like don't fuck with perfection. Like those games are so good. They look amazing on a DS. Just upscale that basically, and it would be good. But this is a Pokemon company. We're not gonna get what we want. So who the hell knows what's happening next week?
Those recent remakes have been real rough in terms of the way they look. And
there's rumblings that the Pokemon company apparently wasn't happy with the way those turned out and like the reception. Even if they sold well, they were like not happy with like the way, because they are sort of like a Disney type of thing where everything needs to be just so. Like even if they can fuck it up because they're the Pokemon company and Game Freak, but someone else messes up, then they're like, no, we ain't happy that you screwed up RIP. So maybe they take it internal. Maybe there's rumblings that could be not a remake. Maybe it's a sequel or something like that. I don't know. I'm excited. We'll see. And if Jan was here, I'm sure he'd say he's excited too.
Yeah, I think we'll obviously we'll find out next week if it is a decent black and white remake or if they go like a Legends or even a Let's Go. I think I'm going to be pretty excited no matter what because I'm kind of like ready to check back in on a Pokemon. All right, up next, Sony's value reportedly dropped by $10 billion following disappointing PlayStation financials. Sony's value dropped by approximately $10 billion following a revised PS5 sales forecast where it is expected to miss its initial target by 4 million units. They were trying to sell 25 million PS5s by the end of this fiscal year, which will end next month. They're going to get to around 21 million, or at least that's their current target. We'll see if they're able to make that. The decline in share price was attributed to both the revised forecast and a decrease in operating margin within Sony's gaming division. So Sony made more money from games than they've ever made before in terms of revenue. Their profits were down 25%. Now, a big reason for that is they had a lot of discounts on the PS5. So they put a lot of PS5s out in the world, but that stuff was not made up on the other end from necessarily selling a ton more software. So now they're like looking at it and they're telling investors next year is going to be about recouping those costs and making money by balancing things out, which means they're not going to have as many deals on the PS5 starting next fiscal year. At least that's what they're saying. And so because of that, they expect to sell fewer PlayStation 5s, but they expect to make more profit by making more money from that audience, and then also by getting aggressive, by putting games out more quickly on PC is what it sounds like. But the way investors are hearing this right now is profits are bad, and they're not necessarily going to get better, because if you're going to sell fewer PS5s, that means we might be at the peak right now. And so a lot of investors are spooked when it comes to PlayStation's future. And this is kind of where PlayStation has been for the last minute or so of their existence, where it's like, hey, we are selling a ton of PS5s, but our costs are out of control with these very, very expensive games to produce. And we saw it from the Insomniac leak. Spider-Man 1 to 2 was like a $150 million game to like a $250 million game. And they're already forecasting that Spider-Man 3 is going to be $350 million to make. So they are not necessarily finding easy ways to cut those costs. In fact, they're going up very fast still. So, PlayStation kind of like reeling as well. We had a lot of news from Microsoft last week about them reeling. We'll talk about some of that as well. But PlayStation not necessarily figuring things out either. The good news for them, Helldivers 2 seems to be a kind of a solution, right? Where like that game is published by them and it has absolutely taken over the world, right?
It's crazy. I have not yet played this game yet, and I feel like I'm in a situation now where I missed the big pop at the start, and is that what's going to happen to me? Like, can you fix me?
You can just play it at any time.
No, it's still done, and it's still like
there's server issues, but you can play it if you want to play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not missing it. It's still.
I do love democracy.
Well, I mean, have you guys seen, like, it's done the Elden Ring thing. It is the meme game on TikTok and YouTube socials and stuff.
What does that mean?
It means, I mean, no, fair question.
No, I know. I just love how he presented that. He's like, what does that mean?
I understand what a meme is. I played Metal Gear 2.
I clicked over to a live video on TikTok, and what you can do is when you're on a live video on TikTok, you can like swipe and it'll take you to another live video and another live video. And I got to a point where 10 in a row were people live streaming Helldivers. And then I would go back to like the created videos, and a lot of them were like trends and jokes about Helldivers. There's even like the wives and girlfriends of Helldiver soldiers is becoming a popular trend on these social media platforms as well.
Great.
It has completely taken over. So they have the potential to put out games like this. I just wonder if they're going to like learn any particular lesson from Helldivers 2 that's going to be useful to them, because it also feels a little bit like lightning in a bottle, and it's not like, well, we're going to go make more of those. I don't know how you decide to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the lesson to learn here is, at least for live service games, day and date on PC. Like, don't put that out way after the fact, after the conversation has died down. Like, get everyone in there together and get them playing day one, and hey, once you know it blows up because everyone can play together
with crossplay. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
It's important.
And so that's one of the things that PlayStation does seem to be hinting at, that they are, when they say they're going to get more aggressive about finding ways to make more money from these games that they're already putting out by putting them out on other platforms. Well, they're already putting it on PC, so getting more aggressive can kind of only mean coming to PC either quicker or day and date. Now, do you guys think like the next God of War comes out, is that day and date on PC? Because I think they'll probably try a new IP first. Like the new Blue Point game is a new IP. I bet that goes on PC day one.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh.
I think even shortening that period up, because now it's pretty
6
consistently,
months.
you know, like, yeah. So if it's like a year shortened down to 6 months, anything that would have been 6 months may shorten that up even, like, still had that period of exclusivity. So it's like, hey, if you got a PlayStation, you still have that reason to own a PlayStation, which I know some people are still super big on. So it's doing it for those people. The PC players don't feel like they're getting completely left out in the cold because it's still semi-relevant when it comes out. Like, just shortening that period up, I think, is going to be good without completely getting rid of, you know, the console exclusivity. If that's what it takes to sort of wean us off this type of mentality, which I think is also something we're going to talk about a little bit here at the end.
getting more into Helldivers 2 real quick, they're having a lot of server issues, as Dan alluded to. That is still happening. And it's all because the game is just more popular than they ever could have predicted. They hit about 450,000. They had over 400,000 concurrents on Steam alone. And
jeez,
they had their server capacity. They kept increasing it. It's now up to be able to support 500,000 people simultaneously. They capped that at 450, so that's not like crashing constantly. So they have this buffer zone. So they're able to support about 450,000 players at any one time. And they have almost that alone on Steam. And that's people logged into the game, not necessarily logged into a server. So that's a lot of people trying to get into a server. There's probably a good amount on PlayStation 5 as well. What's that, Bakalar?
Does anyone like picture like some sweating person at like a nuclear reactor watching the counter go up, being like, "Oh, it's approaching 450." What? And like, there's a bunch of steam being released for
and
some
like
reason.
a red light, just a compact
it's
fluorescent.
Homer trying to figure out what button to press.
Yep.
I just want that to be real. I want that to be real. I want there to be someone sweating about it. They kind of did that scene in the Blackberry movie, and I hope that's a real thing. I hope that's real. I hope someone's really shitting themselves over that.
I hope that's real.
That'd be fun. Yeah, exactly.
They said, hey, it's not as easy as just buying new servers, something we've heard a million times throughout our lives. These kinds of games have seemed like they've been able to support these launches a little bit more smoothly. Like Diablo 4 had a pretty smooth launch compared to Diablo 3, but this is still something that is not necessarily super easy to solve, especially if you're a game that is probably like welcoming in 10, 20, 30 times the players you were ever expecting at your like the highest peak. So they're going to try to solve this, but it's probably going to take them some time before they're fully through these growing pains. Meanwhile, the PlayStation Portal has been hacked to run PSP games offline. A group of Google engineers has hacked the Sony PlayStation Portal, a streaming-only device designed for remote play from PS5 consoles, to run games locally. This was achieved by installing the PPSSPP emulator for PSP games.
What are you naming it that? What is happening?
These guys have senses of humor, Bakalar. It's all about funny.
Allow me to chuckle 4 years later. I mean, what is that?
So basically this is like them just kind of seeing if they can make it happen. I don't necessarily think that this group is even like trying to put this out for other people. Also, the PlayStation Portal doesn't have like a ton of storage for you to mess around with. No. You'd probably be able to get a handful of PSP games on there before you got that thing overburdened pretty quickly. And
so it's playing it offline, like on unit?
Yeah, because the thing is basically an Android tablet, right? I can't.
Just an Android tablet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think I realized like how much was in there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's why the thing, to be quite frank, isn't that great, because it's just running the Android version of PlayStation Remote Play.
Android's great, Shawn.
It's not full featured at all, but like the thing it does, I have actually started using it if I'm in the same room as the PlayStation. And like last night I had Raw on the screen. I was playing the Portal.
Can you do me a favor, Dan, since you have both? Can you go back and forth between that and the, you don't have to install this if you don't want, but Chiaki for Deck, because that supports HDR on the Steam Deck OLED. And it looks really good. And I'm like, I think this is probably a better experience than the PlayStation Portal, honestly. But
is that an easy thing to do?
I mean, you just install Chiaki for Deck from the desktop version. That's it.
Sounds like, nope, it's not.
Grubb,
it's real complicated.
Do you think about what you just asked him?
I know he's got to go.
The only reason I have emulators working on my Steam Deck is I watched a video you made and I followed it step by step.
Oh, that's easy.
That's a video.
That's easy.
I was talking to Dan about getting Prince of Persia on the Steam Deck, because you play Ubisoft Connect on PC, and when I said, okay, switch over to desktop mode, he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, you have to like track down your your PlayStation like secret ID, and there's a website to do that. It's a little annoying, but once it's running, it's easy. It's worth it, because boy, the games look really good on that Steam Deck OLED running from a PlayStation 5.
Xbox games on that too?
There's
Chiaki.
Not Chiaki, no. There's
Chiaki just PlayStation.
Yes, there's like a remote.
Well, Xbox is
tool.
Even easier if you're doing it from like Game Pass, because you can just do that through like Chrome on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
You can put Chrome on a Steam Deck?
Chrome is
on the Steam Deck.
Chrome's pre-installed, basically. There's just a button.
Crazy Linux thing.
No, but it's running on Linux.
Yeah.
It's Chrome running on Linux.
I have Chrome
app.
on my Steam Deck.
Yes, there's a button right there in your Steam Deck in game mode. You just press that, and it will probably install it still. But it's right there. There's a button right there.
Unless you dismiss the notification, like Valve is just like, "Hey, would you like a shortcut for Chrome? We think that might be convenient for you."
Wait, Dan, you there's like when you exit out to like the OS, right?
But even without going to the OS, like the game mode has a Chrome button. Right there. Yeah. Like Chrome is like super installed on it.
What are you talking about?
You need to say yes to the pop-up in order for it to be there.
Yeah,
I don't know how you did it.
You probably didn't. You probably
scared me, and I told
you're probably like, oh, now
Google's trying to hack me.
Switch to desktop. No, I'm not my dad.
Does it have my credit card now?
I don't think it has Chrome on mine. I think I got one of the non-Chrome ones.
Sure, you got one of the bum ones. Sure, yeah.
I got Firefox. I got a Firefox.
Oh, maybe it's Firefox. They definitely.
Yeah. See,
I mean, it has Firefox pre-installed, but it also prompts you about Chrome.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was.
And you can just go to like the
the desktop mode. You can get all these things from the Discovery Store. Yes.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually thinking about it because of when Dan got his. He actually may not have had that pre-installed.
Yeah, that's true.
It's fine, but it takes 10 seconds to pop up. Takes 10 seconds to put it on. So,
but Firefox is there. Does Fire? Wait, desktop mode. If you go to the Discover Store,
I'm in all applications. Discover, search in all applications.
Nope, that's not what he means by discovery.
You got to go to desktop mode.
No.
Okay.
Dolphin File Manager.
Xbox confirms it's bringing 4 games to rival platforms. Microsoft has announced that 4 unnamed Xbox exclusives, including, and this is from reporting, but this is almost certainly the case, Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded will be released on rival platforms such as PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch, as part of its strategy to ensure the long-term health of Xbox, and that's according to Phil Spencer. While the move marks a departure from its traditional exclusivity strategy, they say it doesn't. Whatever. Xbox emphasizes that it remained committed to providing flagship experiences on its console and Game Pass with plans for innovative hardware releases in the future. They mentioned Starfield and Indiana Jones as 2 games that weren't going to be coming to other platforms. And then later in interviews, Phil Spencer said nothing is off the table. So that could change at some point in the future.
In the podcast, they say Starfield and Indiana Jones are not one of the 4 games.
That is right. That is how they couch that.
As they tend to do, they are very smart with their language in these things.
Very good point. This was the podcast that was in response to all that hubbubaloo about, hey, some of these games are going to go to other platforms. They came out and said, yep, that's right. 4 of these games are coming to other platforms. And then they tried to quell concerns about the future of Xbox by saying this isn't going to be every game, although every game could be under consideration. And then they also, Sarah Bond said, hey, we have next-gen Xbox is going to come, and it's going to be the biggest technical generational leap you've ever seen. And then they said, we'll have announcements for hardware later this year around holiday time. And they didn't specify what that would be, whether it was an updated Xbox Series X, which seems possible. Now, not like more powerful, but there could be like a smaller chip in there, and it could be more efficient and could be better in other ways. Maybe it could have a chip on there that actually does upscaling or something like that. There's a bunch of things they could do. Or it could be even like the beginnings of a handheld, something that they keep alluding to and keep saying that they're thinking about, especially when Phil Spencer was asked, hey, Windows on these handhelds kind of sucks, doesn't it? And Phil Spencer's like, yes, it sucks. I hate it myself, and we make Windows. And so they're like, we are going to address that, which to me says they are going to go very hard on whether they're making a handheld themselves or working with partners and just saying, have the Xbox OS installed, the Xbox OS version of Windows ready to go. The biggest technological leap is an allusion to, hey, we are going to have a next generation of devices, and we are looking to do something super, like much more powerful. I was talking to Mike Minotti about this, and he's like, maybe they go something that's significantly more expensive so they can have the box that is just unquestionably more powerful. And I like that idea because I think them going head to head with PlayStation and just having what is basically a PlayStation, but it says Xbox on it and it doesn't have all the PlayStation games, just continues to make them look bad. I think that's a good way to stand out. What do you guys think?
I don't know. If you were telling me that you were selling a $1,500 Xbox.
Well, probably not that expensive. Like $900.
Okay, $1,000?
Yeah, maybe at the high end.
All right, then I've bought the PC already.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say I have $1,000 Xbox right down there.
Yeah, but that's the point, though. Like, you already have done this. Why would you get a $500 Xbox?
Exactly. And again, we get just like a broken record with this whole Windows is the game operating system, right? Like, I don't know. It's the same company. It's the same company.
There needs to be more convergence.
Microsoft makes Windows, most popular OS on the planet.
Xbox games are just DirectX versions of games. Like, so basically, like if you make a DirectX version of a PC game, you're already like on your path to making an Xbox version of the game. They need to just figure something out. We did that one BCR where we talked about our predictions for the year, and I think Nikki was the one who brought it up. But like, just make the Steam Deck for Xbox, but it's not an Xbox console shrunk down. No, it is a Windows handheld that then scales up. And I think they need to be doing more of that and just like bringing everything together. I'm thinking about like their, you said the largest technical leap thing. I wonder if maybe this is more clever wording, because I don't want to say exact quote, but I believe what Phil said was, we want to focus on bringing you the biggest technical leap you've ever seen. It's like, well, I mean, if they put out something that's a lot more powerful, but it's not like, mind-blowing, they still say, well, we tried to bring you the biggest leap you've ever seen. I think a lot of this is like clever ways of
disposable. It's disposable.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah,
we know
not say that they're gonna walk it back per se, but that way they can say like, yeah, we warned you. Like, we're gonna try to give you something significantly more powerful. And if it doesn't like blow you away, well, it's still like, look at the numbers. It is significantly more powerful.
Right. I hope that's not where it lands, because if it's just like the numbers say so you got to believe it. It's like, that's a story that doesn't really work anymore. But I think that doesn't mean you're wrong. I think that they could also just this could mean that they are going to try something that is very technologically advanced, in that it is not going down the same route of x86, and they will try doing something with like RISC-V or something like that and go really out there. And because of that, it's like we have a ton of technology in here that we wouldn't have had before, and that could be interesting, but we'll see. At the very least, they are promising a big game, and that means that they're going to be in the hardware game for a while, and we'll see what that looks like when they finally get to it. All right. Embracer has canceled 29 games this year. That is,
Jesus.
If you work backwards from that as like, okay, that's a shame, but did those people get moved to other jobs? No, they've laid off about 1,400 people. So this is indicative of what's happening across the industry in general, in that, if you hear me typing, sorry about that. I'm just putting in the headlines for the show. This is just where the industry is at right now. Very few games are getting green lighted, I think is how you're supposed to say it.
Yes.
And at the same time, games that were previously under development are getting scaled back or getting completely canceled. And this is leaving a lot of people looking around being like, oh my God, all the jobs that were available and you could just go anywhere have all evaporated kind of overnight, it feels like. This is something we hear not just from Embracer, across the industry. Investment into new games has fallen off a cliff. And this is something like, for me, I remember like I would go to these, I mentioned like traveling to Singapore. What I was doing out there is going to these game developer, game publisher conferences and sitting in panels and listening to the people that were investing in games. And back then, and this is like 7-8 years ago, the word was, hey, this is a hit-driven business, and that is a scary thing for investors. So investors like to invest in platforms and technology and not into individual games. And then at some point between then and now, it shifted back to point like, oh no, a lot of money is going to developers to make games. And it started to feel like that was like the anomaly, where it's like, oh, we were in a high tide there. And so like people just had more money than they knew what to do with. So they were taking those risks. And now that things have started to fall back down to earth, everyone's like, oh yeah, there was a reason why we were scared of investing in games. And we've gone back to that sort of natural reality. And now it's once again really tough to get money for your game, to the point where even that studio from Leslie Benzies, who was at Rockstar, build a Rocket Boy. They haven't put out a game yet, but they probably have like 250 people employed there. Apparently they've had layoffs as well for their Everywhere game, and they haven't even put that out yet. So there was a time where like you could be a Leslie Benzies and start up a studio with 250 people and work on a game and take years of developing it. And it seems like that era has already come to an end before people like that have even put out their game. So it's rough out there. The bad news, going back to like one of the first stories here, is a lot of studios were like, let's just make it to the Switch 2 and put out a Switch 2 game. And now Nintendo's talking about putting out the Switch 2 in 2025. So now people are talking, hey, just try to get through 2024. And if you could survive 2024, maybe things will be better in 2025. That's where the industry is at right now.
Well, that's bleak.
Yes, it's rough out there. It is very bleak. From Software has acquired the Elden Ring trademark from Bandai Namco From Software has acquired full rights to the Elden Ring trademark from Bandai Namco, as revealed by a U.S. Patent and Trademark Office assignment document. Basically, this just gives them the naming rights to the trademark. They don't have the copyright to the video game called Elden Ring. So, like, they're not going to be able to go publish this themselves. But if they wanted to say, work with George R.R. Martin and a co-author on a book based on the world, now you would just go fully through From Software, and Bandai Namco wouldn't be involved in that. And they'll have like probably the rights to make a sequel, but I would imagine Bandai Namco has like right of first refusal and stuff like that. So this isn't like, oh, suddenly they just have the full rights to this, but they do have more control over the future of the franchise now because of this.
Huh.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about like how that would affect a sequel or something, because they also own, I forget which way it is. They own Sekiro. Is that how it is? I think that's the one.
Right. So Activision published that, but
everyone assumes that because Activision's the publisher that they own it, but I believe that's the one where they actually own the IP.
I think they own everything up and down the stack there. Yes, I think that's right.
I wonder if that's like.
I think Activision probably still has the right of first refusal for a sequel there as well, but that's all they have. Yeah.
So run this back for me a second.
Sure.
You acquire the name of the game,
the trademark. So
you trademark the name of the game.
Yeah. And like a trademark, like, keep in mind, is the thing that like can last forever. It is meant to protect consumers, where like copyright is meant to protect the authors or the creators. Trademarks are to protect the consumers from things that can confuse them in the marketplace. Now the creators can use that and leverage that to keep copycats out of the market in certain ways. If you just call yourself Elden Ring, the trademark is very powerful to stop that. But it also means that they would be able to apply that trademark on future games, Elden Ring 2 and stuff like that. And they would have the right to do that. Now, there could be aspects of the copyright of the story and the lore that is still under Bandai Namco, that will probably mean that Bandai Namco is going to be involved in these games going forward. I would assume that based on just this right now. The trademark is only so powerful when it comes to that stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
The upcoming Crazy Taxi reboot is a AAA game, according to Sega. Sega's Sapporo. I know. Well, we'll talk.
I need a quad A Crazy Taxi.
I was waiting for it. Waiting for it. Sega's Sapporo studio, established in December 2021, is collaborating on various Sega games, including the upcoming reboot of Crazy Taxi, described as a AAA title by studio president Takeya Sugawa. This announcement comes alongside Sega's plans to develop new entries in several classic series, including Jet Set Radio and Streets of Rage, which it announced at the Game Awards in December. They are describing it as a AAA game, meanwhile, there's a report out that Crazy Taxi is going to be a live service model inspired by Fortnite and GTA Online, with plans to remake the original game and subsequent reboot featuring a 100-player survival mode.
Okay.
I thought you had that.
Now we're talking.
That is exactly the roller coaster I went through. I was like, live service,
so hard until the end there.
Fortnite, fuck you. 100 taxis on an island. Now we're talking.
Yeah, now I'm interested again. AAA Battle Royale Crazy Taxi?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Crazy Taxi. It's one of my favorite games. It's probably like top 10. I absolutely adore it. So like I was scared about everything I was hearing there. And they're like, survival mode. Okay, this could be interesting.
Yeah, Chris is like, what, we don't like Fortnite? No, Fortnite is Fortnite. Other games should not be trying to be Fortnite. Now, when they say that here, the implication is that they want to be able to have events and be a living game where the maps change and suddenly like, oh, Sega has that Jet Set Radio game coming out. Well, now Jet Set Radio shit is popping off inside that live service Crazy Taxi game. I see the appeal to that, the appeal of that. Maybe that stuff could work. And honestly, Crazy Taxi just coming out and being a new Crazy Taxi game. No, you have to do something more there. I don't know if this is necessarily the answer, but I like the idea of like a Crazy Taxi game where it's like, Battle Royale, sure, why not?
Yeah, and I want to see Crazy Taxi fully sell out.
Yeah,
Like Crazy
exactly.
Taxi has always been about these like advertisements and partnerships.
Yes.
You need the Offspring in there. You need your KFCs and your Pizza Huts, and just put freaking Peter Griffin in a Hot Wheels car. Just completely sell out. That's why I want to see
a campaign rally.
Yeah. And much I loved it when it came to XBLA back in the day. It's like, oh, I can have Crazy Taxi in my 360. Having the KFC and the Pizza Hut just be like a weird red roofed building. It's like, no. I need Pizza Hut there. I need KFC. Shawn, you get it. Sell the fuck out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
If they had like an Offspring concert event inside of the game, like a Fortnite has, that would be amazing.
Although they're just like playing in the park downtown or something like that. Yeah, fucking A, do it.
Right.
There was that mobile Crazy Taxi that had Hulk Hogan in it. We don't need him. But other than that, let's fully Fortnite this thing out.
He'll probably still be
there was a Crazy Taxi 3 on Xbox. I don't think I ever played that.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
I never touched that game.
Yeah, because it's basically like a compilation. All the Crazy Taxi games kind of are that. Like 2 includes 1 plus new stuff. And then High Roller is like revised 1 and 2 plus the Vegas track.
I should play 3. Huh. I'm honestly excited about this. This sounds fun.
Same.
I think it could be interesting at the very least. And I'm still very hopeful that like the Shinobi game is probably not going to be a live service game. So I hope like if one of them is, that's fine. Just as long as there isn't some mandate that all of these games can only get made if they have live service elements. I think use it where it makes sense.
The other ones, like we know what they are. Like
we have a pretty good idea.
Shinobi is the Lizard Cube. Like that's
Wait, I didn't know that. Developed by Lizard Cube.
The Wonder Boy or whoever.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, all you have to do is look at it. But I believe it was confirmed later on by one of the PR.
It was just like it was like a couple seconds of gameplay, right? So I think I was just looking at like I'll wait until there's more of it. I didn't know you could look at it and see that it's Lizard Cube.
We know what all these games are. Shinobi from Lizard Cube. The Streets of Rage is going to be maybe it's more of like a indie-ish thing, but it's going to be like a beat 'em up. Like we know what most of these are. Crazy Taxi was maybe like the question mark, and if this is the direction they're going, I think this is the one where it makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, well, that Streets of Rage 4 is fantastic.
Hell yeah.
As long as they continue some of the stuff that was in there, that'd be great.
Am I just the only one confused about like the Offspring being the only band that like people talk about when they talk about Crazy Taxi?
Bad Religion. Bad Religion. Thing.
Okay. Let's like.
But everyone knows All I Want. You start up Crazy Taxi. You want to hear Yeah.
I get it. I
bought Bad Religion albums because of Crazy Taxi. I didn't buy Offspring albums.
I was the opposite. I bought Offspring albums.
I was. Back like you were talking about like going through the nostalgia box in your house, and I meant to ask you at the time, but like I am finding myself listening more and more to the music of my youth, and in this last week it was, and I never thought I'd be back here. It was the Offspring. I'm like, I thought I had my fill of Offspring, and I was like listening to like The Kids Aren't All Right. I'm like, I would listen to this before my roller hockey games to get pumped up. And now I'm like, let's go. I'm gonna go fucking hit somebody. Let's go.
Makes me want to watch a Raven match.
Yeah.
It's the butt rock of pop punk. Yeah, it just gets.
I wouldn't even call it. I mean, it's not. I mean, you're talking about. I think the album Smash is like really good.
It's really good music.
I mean that in an endearing way. To be clear,
I don't think
you don't know where I'm coming from.
Well, when I hear butt rock, I hear that as like a pejorative.
People use that as a disparaging term. No. We embrace the butt rock. Like, it's just fun. Yeah. Like I was talking about FL Blitz at the top of the show. I just love dumb fun, and that's like where the Offspring sits. That's where Crazy Taxi sits. You know,
that's where Giant Bomb sits.
That's right.
In the butt.
2 inches up the butt. So who knows how we got up there? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on from the news. That means the show goes back over to you, Bakalar.
It does. And if you're keeping score at home in April, the album Smash will be 30 years old.
Oh, fuck that, actually.
Fuck everything about that, right?
I mean, that's older than me. Okay.
I think Dookie also turns. I think Dookie's going to be 30 this year too.
1994, right? Yes, definitely.
That feels weird.
Most 1994 ass album. That also came on when I was playing Offspring on YouTube Music. It's like, oh, then you probably want to listen to Green Day. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Man, Bret Hart and Lex Luger went in the Rumble at the same time. That was 30 years ago. Damn.
What else happened in 1994? The movie Hackers is going to be 30. How fucked up is that?
That's really messed up, actually. Because when I think of like, okay, what's a movie like that from 30 years ago? It's like Sneakers, but that movie's probably like 40 years old then. Jeez.
I'm sorry, it'll be 29. It turns 30 next year, but still.
Dang.
Christ. Man, The Matrix will be 25. Just
Okay,
breathe.
wait. Okay, so wait. When you were born, what was a movie that was 25 years old?
Oh god.
Oh, don't play that fucking
So,
game.
so that'd
Don't
be
play that
70,
game.
50,
That's different.
Would be 58 for me.
So 15. I mean, you're talking about like Some Like It Hot or something.
Movies
Like
from 1958.
I'm looking at 59.
Yeah, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman.
Jesus.
Face of the seventh voyage of Sinbad.
Oh, here we go. MASH the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's
even that feels super
Sean
old.
Sean goes, what's Mrs. Doubtfire?
Hey, Robin Williams.
Listen, you can't play this game because like someone who's born now isn't aware of 25 years ago. So let's not play that game. It's a misdirection of oldness.
What is Up Periscope? Is that like a prequel to Down Periscope?
Yeah, it's gotta be. In my opinion, that's the only thing it could possibly be.
It has to be.
Oh my God. I have to take control of the podcast away from everyone else. We are going to put the podcast in break mode while we all have our naps and take our medicine. And we will be back with emails right after this. Welcome back to the Giant Bombcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for emails.
Mail.
Emails, the way you correspond with the show is you send an email to bombcast@giantbomb.com. Let's get to a few of these. Jan usually reads them himself, right? We don't go around the room, right? We do it.
That's how we do it, yes.
Okay, cool. I have to read now. No problem. Mike from Texas. Hey, I've been playing Brotato. Does he mean Balatro?
No,
he means Brotato.
Brotato's a game.
It's a Vampire Survivors. You're a potato. He's got guns.
Oh,
got it. And the music is so good. Game is great too. Grubb has mentioned that he likes this kind of music for his workouts. Give it a try or not. I'm Not Your Dad. It's on Spotify. Thanks for everything you do. What have you tried to work out to this?
I've not. I'll give it a shot. I'm like in between a bunch of different stuff while I'm working out right now. I will either watch Sports Center. I will maybe watch a show, although I haven't done that recently. And when I do get back to doing that, it will be season 3 of 24. And then I've been listening to some music and stuff like that. But these days, honestly, I've been like, I do my walks and then I'll just do some quick weights at home. So I haven't had much time to watch a show or listen to music. But actually, music for my walks would be great. I'm going to put on Brotato music and see how it is. I've heard good things about this game. People like Brotato. I've never touched it.
I started it on a plane. I played like 30 minutes of it. It's definitely Vampire Survivors like. It's got some different tweaks on it. Didn't super grab me. But it doesn't seem bad by any means.
Yep.
Oh, okay. This type of music. It's like techno, like kind of like the OC remixes on that playlist I gave you, Grubb.
Oh, okay. Well, then I do like that music. So great. Yeah. Perfect.
It is cool. It's like what do they call that? It's like the 80s synth, right?
That's sort of synthwave.
Synthwave. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Cool. Brotato. I like it. I just watched the thing too. Yeah. Didn't grab you, Dan?
I mean, I don't think I played enough to say whether or not. A little bit on a plane. Didn't keep going though.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Next, we have Neil from Philly. Hi, guys. I was thinking about the conversation Jan and Jeff was having on the Friday episode of Game Mess about more franchises Sony could license to make games like Spider-Man, and the answer is Shonen Jump. Like Marvel, it is plenty of series to pull from that have large audiences already that are wishing for some quality games. Sony could try to tap into that audience. Imagine if they made an anime Smash Brothers or a Chainsaw Man game in the style of the recent God of War games.
What if they made an arena fighter based on shonen characters?
No.
What if they made like 20 of those?
Yeah, I know, and it pisses people like me and Tam off constantly. That it's like, here's your incredible anime property. What game is Bandai Namco gonna make? Oh, an arena fighter. Cool, dude.
I think you also have to like think long and hard about what kind of a license is going to permeate through a mainstream audience. Like, yes, there are always diamonds in the rough, but even for everything that gets licensed, the consideration has to be, will this appeal to the most people possible? Yeah. And I'm not saying no one watches anime. I'm an anime expert. I know.
True.
Right? I know people watch anime.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But I also don't think we're going to see a JoJo's pinball machine anytime soon either.
That would be sick, though.
That would be sick. Yeah. Oh, man.
There's that JoJo's fighting game.
Yeah, JoJo's had a really good couple really good fighting games. The old one by Capcom, the newer one as well. Like, you just got to pick the ones. I think certain ones just don't really do it. This is why you see them pick, like, you know, My Hero Academia and One Punch Man and stuff like that really break out into the mainstream, because that's where you're going to get the most amount of kids or early teenagers picking it up, you know, at Target or whatever. They're like, hey, it's that thing I recognize. It's the same reason, you know, we joke about like the goofy graphic tees that are just like a picture of Mario, or sometimes it's a $5,000 Pokemon sweatshirt with a picture of Pikachu on it, which that's a whole thing right now. But like, these things happen for a reason. People do buy them, even as weird as it may seem to us. People do just go into Walmart and they're like, oh, I recognize that thing. I'll just pick it up because it's the thing that I like.
Yeah, if you're anime these days, right, though, you just try to get your ass into Fortnite, right? Like, that's like, if you get, or something like that. And you're like, making our whole game, that's a problem. That seems difficult. Let's just go be a skin in Fortnite, and that's going to help us more than anything else. So, speaking of which, we do have breaking news. Sorry, on October 15th, 2019, Lady Gaga tweeted, "What's Fortnite?" spelled N-I-G-H-T.
That's sick.
2 hours and 9 minutes ago, Lady Gaga quoted that tweet and put asterisk Fortnite, and she spelled it correctly, and that's all she said.
That's it. She's so cool.
Because she's going to be at a Fortnite festival. Hey, she's coming to Fortnite. So now she knows what it is.
My favorite thing.
What started that, right?
My favorite thing about that tweet is that Ninja replied to her. It's like, hey, if you want to do a collab sometime, I can teach you how to play Fortnite. She's just like, who are you?
Yeah, that's right. That was great.
That.
Yep, that's good stuff.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Yep. She didn't apologize.
No, of course.
No.
Someone also just told me there is a JoJo's pinball, but I think it's like one of those FX things, and we all know that doesn't count. All right, moving along. Rich from Seattle. Hello. I find myself agreeing with Jeff. Look, there are two Jeffs on this side. I just feel like
I think they mean you usually, right?
They usually mean you.
You have children. I have a child. Like, what are we doing? We can't.
Is this about kids?
It's about kids.
Oh, I definitely said my kids caused me brain damage. This is me.
Okay. Just, it's fine. It's fine. I find myself agreeing with Jeff that dealing with kids constantly will cause brain damage. It's a little harsh, I feel like, but that's fine. My wife and I
lack of sleep.
Yeah. Sleep deprivation, right? Like, what's the difference? And I had our first child as they were entering a medical school. Damn, we're a mixed family, so I also have a stepson and a stepdaughter. During the 3 or 4 years of school, I did every single thing for the kids. I think I'm only now recovering, and my oldest daughter is almost 17. Then I had to teach her how to drive, and now it's back to the same. Good luck, Grubb. Recovery's possible, but short-lived. For prospective parents out there, do not let them outnumber you. Already ahead of you, buddy.
Yep. I'm stopping it too, because like I said, if I had 3, I would die.
I forget to feed myself some days.
Right, and it's like, you're allowed to do that. You are legally not allowed to forget to feed children. You go to prison for that.
You wouldn't forget after they started speaking.
Oh,
yeah.
So it'd be like, I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, sometimes my kids will get like so into what they're doing that they sometimes would be like skip dinner, and then they'll be in bed and be like, "Oh, I'm hungry." I'm like, "I put dinner on the table. What the fuck are you talking about?" And they're like, "Oh, I never went to go eat that." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Well, how did that happen? Now that doesn't happen anymore because I just sit them there. But that's definitely the kind of kids that they are. So you do have to stay on top of it no matter what, because they'll try to find ways to get you put in prison. That's their main objective.
Some days I'll get to like 3 p.m. to be like, why am I so hungry? I'm like, oh, I didn't eat today.
That's troubling.
Imagine being responsible. Yeah.
No, it's troubling when you say that. Like, I don't think I've definitely skipped lunch by accident before, but I have never had the experience of like overwhelming hunger and just been like, wonder what that could be about.
Yeah. Or you get surprised by it. It's like, oh shit, I just realized I'm hungry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I didn't sleep last week. Yeah. All right. Good luck with that. Driving. I can't even imagine what it's like to teach. Although I did make a weird deal with Dib the other day, and I think I'm going to go through with it. He's like, yeah, driving seems easy. I want to do it. And I was like, it's not. And he's like, no, I can do it. It's easy. Let's go. So I am going to like go to a very empty parking lot and have him sit on my lap and like let him drive for a second.
He's played a lot of Rocket League, right? So you better be careful.
Yeah, and also like the EV will like not move if you let go of the gas. Like it'll just stop by itself. And I wouldn't do it with a gas car because the car's just gonna keep going. And you know, where this at least is gonna, we'll find the most empty ass parking lot where like I have like a 1/4 mile radius to like play around in, you know, and I'm gonna let him do it.
That's how I learned how to drive.
That's how I'm gonna go to jail.
Yeah,
you know.
I definitely did that. And then I remember my parents took a trip once and they wanted to use my car because one of their cars was in the shop and their other car was a Toyota pickup truck that was stick shift. My dad just shows up. He's like, I need to teach you how to drive this stick shift. I'm like, why? Because I'm taking your car. I'm like, oh, okay. And like later that afternoon, I'm at a red light in a stick shift truck that I barely knew how to drive, like having it like stall on me 5 times before I got through the light. So that's how I learned how to drive. That's
fun though, man. Now you know how to drive stick.
Yeah, absolutely. I can get in there and do it now. Takes a second.
Hell yeah.
My grandma took me to a big parking lot in a park when I was probably like 12 or 13 to do the same thing. And I definitely just had one foot on the gas and the other foot on the brake. And that's how I thought you drive.
Yep.
I think that's a logical conclusion.
Yeah, a lot of kids think that. You have to be yelled at about that. Yeah.
Do you think anyone does that for like do you think anyone that's like 35 does that driving around the highway?
Yes, definitely.
100%.
I think more kids these days are doing it than
because they should be calling you out on that anytime you do any kind of test.
Yep.
Like
that's bad.
Yep.
Chat's like, that's how F1 drivers. Yes, okay, that's how F1 drivers. Not some schmuck in a minivan on the turnpike.
Don't F1 drivers have like clutches? Don't I would assume that those are stick shifts. Like, but I know they're paddle shifts, but I would assume they have to use the clutch. Maybe not.
I mean, presumably if they're shifting, right?
Listen, I don't know. I never watched Drive to Survive.
Well, shifting's on the steering wheels, right?
It's the paddle shift, but you still have to go to clutch to shift, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I don't know. Dan, can you drive stick?
No. I can barely drive anything.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say
it's not a relevant skill anymore. No cars are manual.
No, even in our lifetime, it has not been.
Yeah, true. Like the only manual transmission I've ever been even near was my friend who had a car from like 1990, and learning how to drive that in like 2012 or whatever. Like it was an ancient thing for us to have to figure out. Like you just don't need that anymore.
F1 apparently has clutches on the steering wheel. Okay, wow, weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. I could probably drive F1.
I would like to.
Yeah,
I would like to go on a track and do that.
Do it.
Driving race cars is fun. One of my
hard.
In high school, that was a project that we had for my tech ed track of classes, where like if you did all 4 years, the final class was just a year-long building a race car from the ground up and then taking it out to a track at the end of the year. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had.
That's neat. That's really
racing
cool.
around this car that I helped build. It was so cool.
That is sick.
If anyone out there knows like an F1 guy that would let me, I'll fly out to where your track is and I'll race the F1 car.
No, you're not supposed to know where you're going.
Well, no, this is a different series where I just fly places and I do jobs I'm woefully underqualified
Dan Turismo?
Dan Turismo.
Oh, wow.
All right. All right.
We can get this sponsor.
Fuck me. All right. Well, there we go. Okay, next up, John from Maryland. I just left 2 voicemails thanks to my toddler. Don't let your toddler dial exit flu. What's happening? About this topic, but thought it was a little long for the dump, so I thought I'd put it in an email instead. A new barcade recently opened near me, and they have a lot of awesome pinball machines. Here we go. But when I play them, I feel like I have no idea what's going on. I'm a newbie, so I mainly focus on hitting the balls and not letting them drop, but I feel like I'm not actually making progress and I have no idea what's going on. So I was wondering if Bakalar had some tips for getting started or where to even begin if I wanted to shoot for higher scores, having never really given it a college try. Also, one of the machines I was playing is Toy Story 4 themed. That's a great game. And I was wondering what Mike thinks of that movie. I personally really enjoy it, and it's my second favorite of the franchise behind 2, but I know it's not popular among many Disney fans, so any thoughts on that are also appreciated because it's on the cheek, right back at you. What do we know what Mike thinks of that?
Yeah, because I say Toy Story 4 is a great movie, because it is, and he goes, great? What do you mean great? And he gets mad at me. I don't. So I don't think he thinks he might not think it's bad, but he's one of those people like it was a perfect ending with Toy Story 3. Man,
is that the one with the fork?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's the one that I haven't seen. I've seen 3. I haven't seen 4.
Saw that one. Yeah.
He does not like Toy Story 4. He says Toy Story 4 is a great movie. It is fantastic.
I like Tony Hill did those like spork like mini shorts too that are really funny.
Those are really funny. Yes, those are great.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
So like great character. You're telling me that movie's bad? I don't know. I'm never gonna see it, but whatever. So how do you play pinball is basically the question. I mean, like, look, I understand where you're coming from. I've definitely answered this question numerous times before. You just have to like give yourself time to learn the game's rules. And now that every game has a TV screen in it, you need to look at the screen, and you need to not just like start playing, because the screen is going to tell you your options for what you can do. It's a lot. I'm not trying to say that like you just need to read better. Like, it's a lot. I'm well aware it's a fucking circus. But you know, you're basically always trying to get into a mode where you are starting an objective, and the objective is going to award you points, and based on how efficiently you complete that objective, that's where your multipliers and everything. Balatro is a poker pinball game, basically, because it's multipliers and it's increasing your base score, and that's the same philosophy that governs pinball. So yeah, I like that. I like how I said that. So I think that's what you have to do. Pinball invented multiplication is exactly facts. Yeah, that's really what it is. Like, you want to be efficient, and you want to do that. Obviously, keeping the balls from going down the drain is part of that. But
seems like it would help. Yeah.
You know, that is a big part of that, but ultimately that is what you're going for. And I think games like the Jersey Jack games like Toy Story 4, they do a really good job of explaining what to do. It gets complicated when these modes stack on top of each other, so you can, in those games, have 3 objectives going on at once, and they're all stacking. So the game is keeping track of 3 objectives, all the multipliers associated with each of those objectives. It's a lot, I get it, but that is kind of the way to do it. Playing with quarters is not the way. You have to go to one of those barcades where it's like open free play and spend a half hour with a game, and that's how you learn how to play it. Quarters are not the way, unfortunately. You guys agree, right?
Yes.
Well, it's good to know that I've been playing pinball correctly, because I'm a big fan of like pinball video games, you know, your Pokemon pinballs, your Metroid Prime pinballs, all that stuff. That's always how I approach it, is like, okay, I want to do the thing over here, like the little spinny thing that has a character on it. I want to go into the bumpers, where those are, where it goes like ding, 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 ding. And then like it goes into a slot, and it's like, okay, you need to fill up all the slots, and then you get a thing. So like sort of segmenting the board. It's good to know that I've been doing it the correct way all these years.
Absolutely. And I'm not joking. I'm overdue for this. I've obviously been very busy lately, but I have Venom that I have to stream before it goes back. And I've not learned that game as well as I've learned like Foo Fighters. So I will learn that game with you, the audience, in real time when we stream this sometime this month or early next, and we'll be on that journey together. And Dan, if you want to come out here and play it with me, you should learn how to play pinball.
I know how to play pinball. I'd play.
He's like, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. Unless I'm flying out to drive a race car, I don't give a shit. Okay. Thank you, John. Up next is Jerry. Hello, Bombadukes. I wanted to follow up on the group's experience with Wingspan and board games in general. There's been a follow-up game called Wormspan, which is about dragons. That seems to be doing reasonably well. In addition, have you guys ever considered playing some board games from the site? Tabletop Simulator has a good amount of official mods released to promote board games launching on Kickstarter, and sites like Board Game Arena exist that provide official, fully scripted web implementations of old and new games. If that doesn't work out for y'all, may I recommend some games for Jan to jump down the rabbit hole with?
Oh, no.
Okay, here's a list. Boop, which is kittens and cats pushing each other around a bed.
Aww.
Sounds cute. Can't Stop, which is Raw Push Your Luck. What is that?
I don't.
Raw Push Your Luck.
Wait, Push Your Luck, isn't that game show?
You're thinking Press Your Luck. You're thinking Whammy.
Oh, you're thinking Whammy.
I am.
Thank you. Push Your Luck is.
Yeah, I don't think that's Dice Forge. Customize and roll your dice engine. You're not speaking my language. I don't know what the fuck that is. King of Tokyo, Aggressive Yahtzee.
Ooh, Aggressive Yahtzee sounds awesome. Violent Yahtzee is what I need.
Photosynthesis.
It's the battle chess of Yahtzee.
Yeah.
Photosynthesis, Hatred and Trees.
This just sounds like Fear Factory albums.
I feel words are just being spoken to me. Yeah. Like I'm having a stroke or something. I have no idea what's happening here.
Tell me more about photosynthesis.
And Hatred and Trees.
Yeah, because that's like a lot I can get on board with. Sea Salt and Paper. That's gorgeous origami art. Splendor, one of their favorites. spots, dogs, and that's it. And P.S. Fuck Ticket to Ride. It isn't bad. I just dislike trains. What do you mean you dislike trains?
Trains are awesome.
Trains are one of the best things.
Who says that?
Yep.
Trains are like the best way to get around. It's what makes our country inferior in terms of transportation.
About that or something.
How do you guys feel about buses? Like Greyhounds?
Trains are better. I've done the Greyhound a handful of times. Not
necessary.
The best experience, but it's a cheap way to get home if you need to.
Now, because I asked, because my wife, if you guys want to, thank you. She was traveling to Germany for work, and she was traveling with a lot of her American coworkers who were going to Europe for the first time. Steph spent a lot of time in Europe before, and so Steph was like, "Well, we got to get from this one airport to the city in Germany that is kind of out there, and there's a train strike." So she's like, "I'm just going to take the bus because that's a great way to travel in Europe." And all the Americans were like, "I would rather fucking die than get on a bus." And I was like, okay, they're thinking about Greyhounds because buses in Europe are like super comfy and they're super luxe and are like way better than what we have here. It's like almost basically like being on a plane is what it was like.
Taking a bus.
Because mine have been like Megabus and like Greyhound and
$1 to get from one city to the other. Yeah,
I've done that from here to Chicago.
Yeah,
it's not a fun experience, but like I could totally see like a nice bus being.
But when you're like broke as hell, you know, like in college or something, and you need to like go see someone.
Sure.
Hey, that's
Greyhound's fine in that. Yes, when you were comparing it to your other options, it's completely fine. I've had fine experiences with Greyhound for the most part, but they really are kind of trash compared to what they have in Europe. So. Was like, you got to just explain it to them. And she couldn't really get that point across until they were there. And then by the time they were there, the train strike was over. So they just took the train.
It also sounds like
it's infrastructure problem. Like the U.S. is just bad about that.
And look, the U.S. is very big, right? So like that, I think, is the only excuse there.
Doesn't help,
but like the Japanese travel channel I watch on YouTube, it's like a mixture of like buses and trains. I mean, they appear to ride mostly like luxury style stuff, but like it's just so much above and beyond. I mean, I one time took, oh my fucking Christ. I took a Greyhound I took NJ Transit from Atlantic City to Manhattan. And it was like I was riding in the back of Snowpiercer. It was like we all just didn't know if we were gonna make it.
Here's your cockroach sandwich. Fuck you.
Like we all banded into like different tribes, and there were power struggles,
right?
Territorial grabs. Like it was out of control. Never again will I do that. It's not great. It's not great. And
I'm just so envious of travel in other countries being actually like accessible to the average person, you know, like the train systems and everything. Because as someone who doesn't drive normally, it you know, I do a lot of walking. I take the public transit, but like, thinking about even like, you know, Chicago, New York, that kind of thing. And like, you know, they ride the subway or whatever, but like, especially you look over at Japan and their train system, and it's like, you know, you just scan your pass, you get on board, and it's like, you get from point A to point B. It's like a smooth ride and everything like that. You just don't really think about it. I'm like, man, we really fucked up, like building this gigantic country with so much like empty space in between areas and everything, that now everything's just built for cars. And it's like, oh, you know, not everyone drives cars. And
and we do kind of just like give up. We're like, well, it's just too big, nothing you could do. But like, I mean, listen, Europe's even all of Europe's not as big as the United States, but those buses are like international Eurozone buses, and Eurail goes across the entire continent and stuff like that. So it's like they got countries to cooperate on that shit. We can't even go from state to state. So
and not to mention how much older all that shit is over there too. And we're a relatively young country, obviously in its final days, but like without a doubt, you know, city planning was just not on the radar, I think, and with no excuse. Anyway, that's very depressing. What's not depressing is getting your email read on the Giant Bombcast. All you got to do is send an email to bombcast@giantbomb.com. What do we got cooking on this website for the rest of this short week, my friends?
Yeah. Tomorrow morning, As long as I wake up, we will talk over a Nintendo Direct.
Please wake up.
Yeah, Grubb, remember that time when
No.
you started at Giant Bomb,
Don't
got
remember this at
everyone
all.
up for Nintendo Direct, and then
Nope.
weren't there?
Oh,
Don't
my
do
Didn't
that.
happen.
That's right. Okay, I
Don't
forgot
do
that was a
that to
joke.
us.
Completely made up.
Okay.
See, I'm planning to
False.
be here for this one, so I will actually yell at you.
Also,
do that
Jan's
to me.
sick, so I'm the one who's going to have to stream it. So, yeah,
Wait,
I'll be there.
oh my god, I really forgot about all
Thanks
of
a lot,
that.
Sean. He forgot.
Hey, man, I don't get performance reviews. You do, so this is your problem.
I don't feel. Do you remember that, Dan? Him sleeping.
It was
through
very
it?
early on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember sending like
was
doing the
literally,
I'm gonna
like-
send him a Discord DM.
Yes,
I'm
he
gonna send him
did
a
do
Twitter
that.
DM. I'm gonna like text him. I'm gonna
And then I woke
was
up right as it was
actually
starting.
week
You guys were
1 or
going. I'm
2. It
like,
was
oh
very
shit!
early, yeah.
I'll just sit out of this one. God damn it!
Oh,
I gotta
hope
take my kids to school every day now, so I'll definitely be there for this one.
I hope I did one of those like. So that's how it works.
Yeah,
with
you
Jeff Grubb on
were
the
definitely
team.
like, just because I was like, you know what it was is it was early on, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a talk over Nintendo Direct, and I just couldn't sleep, and then I couldn't wake
Yeah.
up. So,
Oh, buddy.
and then
Yeah,
you're like,
Christmas.
and I explained that to you, you were like, dude, you were like, oh, buddy, dude, it's cool. Just let us know if you can't sleep, so we know something like this might happen. I'm like, yeah, okay,
That's
my
what he
bad.
said to you.
Yeah. Yeah, fair
Dan,
enough.
we talked about that, Dan. Dan, be cool. Be cool.
Nintendo
Be
Direct
cool.
tomorrow. We'll talk over that. Game Mess Mornings will be happening a little bit after that. And then we have Blake Club. It's back. Mortal Kombat, Sub-Zero's, Mitch.
It might be
Mythologies.
the end.
It could be the end. We'll see.
That's
He's
crazy.
got 2 levels left or only 1 level left?
I think just the 2.
Okay.
And I think one of them's pretty short. I think he might beat it this week.
He was
which,
booking
by
it
the way,
last week, yeah.
my buddy Tim sent me a clip of blooper reel stuff. I don't know where it's from, but it's from the like F&B filming of the game. So I started watching it. And I got like 15 seconds in. It's only a couple minutes long. And I said, wait, I need to watch this. We need to save it for the end. After he beats it, we'll watch the Quan
that's
Chi
fun.
blooper reel in front of a green screen.
Fantastic. We'll watch that, and we will also watch the TAS, the Taz speed run.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's your reward,
Yes.
Minotti. You get to see a blooper reel.
Then that means we got to mail something to Grubb. Oh shit.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Oh, Dan, you're such a
What?
bad actor,
Super
man.
Dan 64 is just a powerful thing in my brain that's going to be happening very soon.
When it's my turn, sure you can do that. But yeah.
And then on Thursday, we will be doing a Bombcast Revengeance on Thursday. Who could say why? I certainly cannot.
Who can say?
Yeah, there's no way to know.
Who
That's
could
a
say
weird thing to
that's
do.
a
Okay.
weird time of the week to do that? That'll be happening that afternoon, on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And then Dump Truck, we'll have a UPF on Friday. We'll probably play Helldivers too, unless something else pops up.
Do you want to try to do the Wii U Mario Maker levels?
That would be great. Yeah. I would
I
I
would
would legit love that. Yes.
I would like to watch you, like, because I don't remember. I think I made like 6 or 7 levels that are nightmares. I would love to just watch you try to beat one of them.
Could you, like, while we're playing, do you think you're going to, like, recall the solutions to some of them?
When I see it,
When you see it,
probably.
yeah,
But like
that's
that's the
what I
thing. It's
thought.
like I don't remember what I did with any of them. So like
Right.
I will be like helping. I'll go in with the idea of wanting to see you win. And I would tell you what I did if I remember it. So I'll help you. It'll be
Okay.
a co-op thing.
Okay, let's maybe we'll do that instead. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I
That does sound
definitely
like a
want
lot
to
of
play some
fun.
time with that game before it's gone.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that does it for this week, though. Well, if we have anything else pop off, we'll let you guys know.
Yes, we will. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Giant Bombcast. We'll be back with a brand new episode next week. Feel better, Jan. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay.